boys, it's time to run 10 junk miles together.
10 junk miles.
10 junk miles.
Junk miles.
Hey everybody, welcome back to episode 5 of 10 Junk Miles. I'm Scott Coomer with Kat Claiborne,
Hello.
Aaron German,
Good evening.
Corey Fain.
Hey guys
And
and
this
gals.
is our special Boston Marathon edition because fresh from the Boston Marathon is our good friend Aaron and our guest today, Dave Caldwell.
Welcome, Dave.
And Kat has run Boston too in the past.
I
right?
did.
So if you're not running, put your clothes on and go run, because we met a lot of people this weekend that evidently listened to the podcast, and they said that it's a lot more fun to listen to when you're out and running on the trail. So let's start with you, Corey. What have you been up to since the last episode, other than editing the last episode?
I didn't have to edit the last one too much. Let's see. Mildly painful long run last Sunday. I don't
Are you
know.
officially in the 200-mile training plan now?
Yeah. I'm still. I don't know. I'm starting to get those thoughts in the back of my mind. Like, I don't know if that's actually going to be possible, but I'm not going to give up yet.
How long did you run last weekend?
Sunday I ran for 17 miles.
Why was it
Not
so
long.
painful?
That's a long list of things.
Okay. We need to get into it.
My left knee is fucked up. My right Achilles is fucked up. The top of my foot has a Bible bump. I don't know. It's
Wait,
not good.
huh? A Bible bump?
It's a ganglion cyst. It just is like this sac that fills with fluid, and sometimes it hurts, and sometimes it goes away, and sometimes it comes back. I can't figure out when or why it happens, but
I had one of those on my wrist.
But
Yeah.
why'd you call it a Bible
It's
bump?
called that.
because back in the day, that was like the only thing that was big enough to smash it and make it go away.
That's what you did. You smashed it with a book.
I've done that. I accidentally
Yeah.
kicked the swing in our backyard and it just like exploded and turned into nasty looking ultra runner foot.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's a good way to open the show.
So you have
Can
a
we
big
post a
cyst
foot
that
pic of
someone
that
should
one?
hit with a Bible.
Things to
Yes.
Google. Bible.
Hit me with the Bible, please.
But you're starting to run.
Yeah, I'm running. It's good. It's all good.
Kat, what have you been up to?
Well, I ran the Indiana Trail 100 last weekend,
Woohoo!
And
and it was fun. It was I thought it was going to be like, an easier course, and then it rained and turned into a crazy muddy course and was actually pretty hard. I mean,
you
100 miles
finish?
is always hard, but it made it a lot more challenging. Yeah, I finished.
PR?
I got a PR. I ran 20.
Wasn't hard at all then.
6:53. Well, I guess I'd like to hope it would be even faster if
Right.
it wasn't all that mud, right?
Yeah,
But
right. Or maybe the mud made you faster.
I don't know. Or maybe it slowed me down so that I
Oh, Kat's wearing a
actually
Boston
finished.
shirt. Sorry to interrupt you.
Oh, yeah. I
Just
am.
noticed that.
We'll have to get pictures
I
to
never
put on
bought
the
the
webpage.
Boston jacket, so I wore the Boston shirt.
Sorry, back to the mud.
Okay. Yeah, anyway. So, yeah, it was painful and tiring and
Boston
exhausting,
mud.
but it was all worth it when I finished.
Anything else other than that?
No.
Anything else? That was a freaking 100-mile PR.
Well, that was only 2 days, though. It's been like 2 weeks.
Oh,
Corey's out running 17 miles. All Kat did was run 100.
Yeah. PR in the mud. How many times did you fall down?
I never fell.
Did you have any problems with your lady things?
Whoa, yeah.
Oh, yeah. How did that
Everybody
work
really
out?
wants
Oh,
to
yeah,
know.
actually, that's kind of funny because, oh my gosh, I had terrible cramps.
Just so you know, that's never funny.
No.
There's nothing funny on that.
I'm actually,
Well-
I immediately regret bringing
Okay,
it.
not funny, but no, this is interesting for those women out there who worry about this kind of stuff. So I did have terrible cramps.
Mm-hmm.
Like the first loop. I mean, I was dizzy, cramping. It was horrible.
Maybe that made you faster.
No, it was horrible. But then, it just kind of finally went away, and then I got to enjoy the mud.
Do you get like endorphins from that?
No.
Is that like cheating? It's like,
No, it's just pain.
Yeah.
Just pain in your uterus.
yep.
Never had a pain in my uterus.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, you
I just can't imagine.
Many
What,
a time. Right
But
after
it's
the,
all
right
good.
after the Packers
it's all
lose.
good.
Aaron, what did you do?
I did not run 17 miles, nor did I do 100. Somewhere in the middle. I ran a marathon.
Pretty damn fast marathon.
My PR of all time.
Nice.
I want to tell you, there were a bunch of 10 Junk Miles listeners
God bless them.
chiming in on the Facebook page. People were paying attention.
So what was your time?
2:50:38.
Wow.
That is awesome.
You got to get down to every second. 'Cause
Wow.
You're fighting for those seconds, just like and any given Sunday.
And we're going to
That's
spend
what it
some
is.
time on your actual race and all of that later on.
Yeah,
but I
yeah.
mean, good, bad. Was it like the hardest race you ever ran, or what? I mean,
I think it was the most perfect race I ever ran. I look back at the 5K splits, and they were like bang on 2010s every single one.
When I was watching you online, I was seeing your splits, I was like, oh wow, he's either gonna get a PR or he's just gonna crash and burn.
That's what everybody in my family thought, though.
Yeah.
Every single person doubted me. In my mind, the only person that wasn't going to doubt me was Scotty.
oh yeah.
Yeah, he was thinking I was going to speed up.
Awesome.
I told me
Good job.
he was gonna PR.
Yeah.
And he did.
Yeah.
You're so smart, Scott.
So we got 2 PRs and 17 miles from Scotty. How about you?
PR.
3 PRs.
PR.
I broke my
Damn.
100-mile PR record at the Indiana Trail 100. Got a little payback for
In the
my
mud.
quit. Yeah, and my plan seemed to work pretty well. The whole idea of saving it for Indiana that paid off in spades, and
So you were like tapering just for that race.
well,
In a sense.
no, I mean, but still,
Yeah.
I'm really glad that I did what I did, and it turned out well, and I was really happy to finish, and it was a struggle, and it'll be a good story, but yeah, so I got that done too.
So we got 2 PRs in a muddy race.
3 PR.
3 PR.
1 PR at a rainy, cold, hilly Boston race. And then a Bible
We kicked
bump.
ass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a Bible bump.
The other thing that I was going to say is we met a lot of people that actually listened to this podcast at the race, which is something that I didn't expect, and I don't think that Kat expect. I mean,
I mean,
was-
your sister was there. Kater, did you have some family there?
no. We're talking. We're running along, and some stranger comes up and says, "Hey, are you Kat from 10 Junk Miles?"
Right.
Like people actually are listening and enjoying it. There's
awesome.
I was going to read a review, and if you haven't reviewed the podcast, I'm going to keep saying this every single
it
time.
now.
Rate it and review it, because if you do that, then it moves us up in the ratings, and everybody sees it, and then more people will listen to it, and that's how we spread the word. But this Skol Vikings fan, SKOL, and then Vikings fan 7, writes, I live in Illinois and ran my first ultra 2.5 years ago. I listened to every ultra running podcast out there, and this one is now my favorite. I don't know any other ultra runners, so to hear a group of friends talk about ultra running from a non-elite perspective is truly refreshing. I don't listen to much while I run, but with the long commute to and from work, these guys are simply the best. For the people who complain about the sound quality, I foresee many DNFs in your future. It's a podcast. Calm down and just enjoy it. It is what it is. Keep up the good work, everyone. I can't wait to hear the next story about someone pacing 20 miles in jeans, or if Kat can defend her international beer mile championship.
Wow, that's awesome.
That's
nice.
so cool.
That's a great
Who is
one.
this guy?
And we don't know who that is,
Don't
right?
I have no idea
Some
who
Vikings
it
fan
is.
Who are
living
you?
in downstate
some-
Illinois.
Meet us. Come to a race.
Some of them are friends. And here's another one.
Come be on the
This one we
podcast.
do know. Art Sundry says, I am hooked. And it says, I've listened to your 3 podcasts to date and have thoroughly enjoyed both the format and conversations. I'm now hooked and have expanded further into the world of podcasts to augment my solo runs. My weekly mileage is increasing, and I credit this diversion. Thank you all. So in a way, we're helping Art increase his mileage and his training.
And that's awesome because Art is a super cool guy.
Yeah, Art was at the Indiana Trail 100 too, and he finished the 50-mile race. So
And I know that Art had 2 nights earlier, as he said, got hammered. So it was even maybe more of an accomplishment that he.
2 nights earlier?
Yeah.
That's
Oh
not-
no, that's no big deal.
irrelevant. Yeah.
Oh, never mind, Art.
The
No
night
big
the night
deal.
before is when you
and,
got
and I also want to say
put it to
that
the test.
I was impressed, Art.
Actually, 2 nights before is the worst because that's, at least for me, that's like the
That's
night
sleep
when you
night.
need the good sleep.
Yeah.
yeah, that's when
So
he
that's
I think I
impressive.
slept.
hammered.
I think I got 3 hours of sleep the night before the Boston Marathon.
Yeah. That's
Sorry.
Yeah. Well, and the other
Good
thing I
job,
was
Art.
going to say is that I listened to that Mortified. We talked about podcasts on the last episode, and Kat brought up Mortified, and it's people reading their journals from when they were in high school, and it is so embarrassing and sad and awkward, and it is just freaking
That's my
hysterical.
favorc kind of humor.
It's
That's
hysterical.
a good British humor.
Like just like bad sexual
Sure.
adventures and crushes and
Right.
unrequited love, and oh my god, I'm hooked. I loved it.
Cool.
All right. Well, next we're going to talk to our good friend Dave Caldwell, who
In studio.
is
Hi, Dave.
sitting here in
Hi,
the
Dave.
studio.
Here live.
Dave's not wearing any headphones because he's partially deaf, because he was a veteran who hung out on submarines, right?
Yeah, that's a side effect of being on a submarine.
Are most submarine guys deaf? No. Okay. But that's how it happened to you.
Have you all seen all 5 hours of Das Boot?
I have.
Okay, that's
I have.
What?
We
What's
used to have mandatory movie with the captain night on Sundays, and it was always a submarine themed movie.
Oh, there's so many
and,
good ones.
and if you were one of the new guys, you had to go. And it was always like Das Boot or
Hunt for Red October.
Hunt for Red October was big. What was the other one?
Well, there's one. There was.
Isn't there one with just numbers and letters like U something something?
U
something?
571.
That's the one I was
Yes.
thinking of.
Yeah, yeah.
And
I
I
think
never
there was
saw
one
any
with.
of those.
Crimson Tide was a big one because that's the type of sub I was on. Was
Wasn't there one with
those-
Steven Seagal? Or was that
Under Siege?
That was on a just regular boat.
How did you
Right.
guys get movies on the sub? Pick up some VHS
we
tapes
actually-
when you were at
They
shore?
were 8mm tapes.
This is probably exactly what Dave thought we were going to be talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah. This is very
when
interesting.
he put his Boston
let's
Marathon
talk
jacket
about
on
running.
and came here.
Let's talk about this career you had that
Where
you
could
hated.
you go where you can't ever run? Where are you locked into a cage?
Let's talk submarines.
Yeah,
So how did you do it? How'd you watch movies?
we had we actually sometimes we had movies out before they were in theaters. That the movie
Whoa.
studios themselves would give us these 8mm tapes to take out to see with us, and a lot of times it just said courtesy of Columbia Pictures at the bottom of the screen the whole time.
Can you think
but
of one that you guys saw that before they came out in theaters?
I worked a lot. I didn't watch a lot of movies.
See, this is where if we could go for like a 10 junk mile run with him, we could ask him. We could go for.
At some point, I think
An
we
hour.
have to we have to have a 10 junk mile
Submarines.
like a sweatshirt, like some sort of really awesome swag that the guest gets,
Yeah.
and we should make them go for a run with us too. I think
And
that would be
just
pretty
hear
awesome.
about
And
submarines.
record.
And then
while you're
record
running?
afterward. Well, we could do it while Corey's setting up.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah.
So how'd you get into running, Dave?
Well, a lot like most people that I know, they're ultra runners. I started running to lose weight, and I was in poor physical shape. So
Makes sense. It happens when you're a submarine guy.
yeah. I gained a lot of weight while I was on the sub.
Did Gordy Ainsley say something about you?
No,
Or
I
was this your
wasn't. I wasn't
friends?
quite to that point yet.
All right, so how much were you?
Well,
Deuce.
yeah, I was 207 at a doctor's appointment once, and I don't know how fat I actually got though. I do know that like
Nobody
once,
knows the peak.
Well,
How old were you when this?
instead
when
of-
207?
31, I think.
That's exactly
Yeah.
what I peaked at. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like 215.
But I wasn't paying attention to the number. I drew the line when I started noticing I was getting boob sweat. Like when you'd sit down and like your gut would press up against your chest
On
and
the
you have a little
airplane.
sweaty pocket.
It's so uncomfortable in the
Yeah.
airplane, right?
Yeah.
So basically, you guys had bigger boobs than me.
So
I think
We're not.
it was more the
I think
gut
everyone has
that,
bigger boobs.
We're
than
not gladiating
yeah.
here. Let's stop gladiating.
It was more the stomach that was at fault, but
All right, so you were 207,
yeah, 207 plus.
38 waist,
Maybe 36. I'm not sure.
36 waist, 30
Yeah,
inseam.
I let him.
right?
Yeah, I let him
Yeah,
sag.
it's
So
classic.
yeah. But yeah, so that's. I decided, with the boob sweat, to start running and eating healthier, and
You guys are having an interview here.
So you didn't run in high school. You were never a runner.
no, never a runner.
This is my story, Corey's story, and partially Aaron's story. Really, I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
just-
So
as an adult, you took up running to lose weight.
yeah, it seems like it's a pretty common thing.
What was the plan? Just lose weight? Was there a race? Was there a distance? Was
No,
there-
no. At first, it was really just to try to shed some pounds and
Smooth out the boobs.
yeah, prevent boob sweat and
Burn the bra.
Were you married at that time?
yeah.
Okay.
I'd been married a year at that time, and I actually started running at work. I was working nights. I was an operator at the particle accelerator, and it's about 1 kilometer around the particle accelerator. So
Oh, yeah.
I was using that as a benchmark. So I would try to make a lap around the accelerator. And
Not as fast as the particles, though, were you?
In particle accelerator, like it's just the most average.
There's a big one here in Illinois. Yeah.
yeah,
Particle accelerator.
yeah.
I would
so,
think that you would have to go through a lot of security clearance to be an operator of the
No,
particle
no.
accelerator. They just would they let me go over there and just do it?
Well, I mean, there's a little bit of training involved. But,
I'm doing like a bicep curl. Like that's.
I mean, from what I saw from Corey here, he could do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of wires.
Yeah.
he could do it, but
Splicing
they'd have to
together.
do it tomorrow.
I don't want
Right.
to point out.
Take a while.
I don't want to be an asshole, but Homer Simpson works at a nuclear power plant.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's kind of related to what I did in the Navy. I was a nuclear power plant operator.
Was
so
it a
it's-
nuclear sub?
Yeah, all
They
submarines
don't
are
make
nuclear now.
They don't make
yeah.
diesel.
No.
Yeah, they decommissioned the last diesel sub in the 80s. So
Yeah. Duh.
I
yeah.
was born in the 70s.
So what was your first race, Dave?
My first race was one of those Komen for the Cure 10Ks.
Oh yeah. Pink ribbons and all that shit.
Yep. Yeah. I had no idea though.
Can I make a
But-
comment here, just real quick about the ladies that walk on the thing with the cancer? And I'm a total asshole. I know it.
This is gonna be really
But
terrible.
the number one killer of women besides men is
heart disease.
heart disease, and they're all obese out there. You know what I mean? It's not. It ain't breast cancer.
All the breast cancer walkers are obese?
Yes.
Come on.
Get out there and watch them.
Do you
I'm
think
out
it's
there.
terrible?
I'm out there running on the path, and I can't get around them.
I didn't think he was going there. I thought he was going to say that it's ironic that Dave wanted to get rid of his breasts, and his first race was the race for the cure
Yep.
of breast cancer.
Well,
Are we trying to be like the most offensive
we're coming full.
podcast
I'm
ever?
just pointing out that the number one killer is heart disease, and they're all big, and they're walking for breast cancer, and that's
I
fine.
want to point out that
I'm gonna be
Aaron
walking
hasn't
more.
done a fucking thing for any of these charities.
Okay,
No.
you
So
know
what difference does it make?
We have a guest, and we're trying to focus on the guest.
I know,
Get
back to
his
the 10K.
This is
story.
the guy that bought a jacket extra large.
I bought it
when he
one
gets
size
fat,
too big
from when he's
that I can put
obese.
it back on, so I can wear it around. Have you guys seen
Okay,
this? Okay,
Dave.
And it's a Boston jacket
Let's
too.
hear
Oh, yeah.
from
In 20 years,
Dave.
you're going to be a fat guy wearing a Boston jacket.
absolutely.
Dave, what was the best race you ever did? Your favorite race looking back?
My favorite
we're
race
skipping ahead.
thus far is still the Ice Age 50.
Nice.
Yeah, I haven't run it well yet, but I really enjoy that race.
What is it about that race versus like the 10K, the marathon, the 100-mile, all the different things? Because you're one of those guys that you're fast, you can run long. You're a trail guy. I look at you on Strava. You're a bullfrog, just tearing it up. I mean, you
That
do
is
everything.
true. Well, I prefer the trails, that's for sure. And I decided that 2 miles into the Boston Marathon a couple weekends ago. But yeah, a lot of it's just the trail atmosphere and how everybody's so friendly. And you know, that's one of the things about like a marathon that I forgot about is nobody talks to each other.
No.
Right.
You're out there for hours in silence. You know, the
Right.
only one uttering a word is the crowd.
Yeah.
You know,
I
and
tried chatting some guys up. to
They don't
myself.
like it. People
Yeah.
are like,
At the bottom of mile 16 where it's real fast, I jumped in. I go, God, I wish all the miles were like that. Wasn't that fun? The guy was like, What are you talking? Are you talking to me?
who the hell are you?
Whereas me and Kat at Indiana, we like made friends while we were
Yeah,
there.
I mean, I'm
Yeah,
the
I
same
think I've
way
made
at all
friends
these.
at every ultra that I've been.
It had been a long
Yeah.
time, but it had been a while since you've run a road marathon.
No, I mean I did one last September, but I can't really call that like a road marathon. It was like 8 loops around a bike path, you know, and the whole point was just to get a Boston qualification time.
Oh, okay.
Well,
you know.
wait. Let's back up for a second. So you were 207 when you were 31, and now how much do you weigh?
Well, my weight fluctuates quite a bit, but I'm about 155 to 160.
So I mean, you lost a ton of weight, and then now, I mean, I think of you as being a really super fast guy.
Fast, yeah.
Oh, I guess I kind of like lead the mid pack, maybe. I'm not. I wouldn't say I'm fast.
What's
I
your
mean,
marathon PR?
259,
And what's your 100-mile PR?
23, 26.
So under 24 hours.
Yeah, but I mean, that's a huge difference. You know, a 259 is double the speed of a 23-hour 100. You know, so I mean, I think as the distance gets longer, I get slower and slower. It's not, you know, it's not linear for me.
I
So
think it's
you
linear
feel
for
like
anybody.
maybe your what? So you're saying that like your best event would be the marathon?
I'd probably have
At
a
the
lot
moment?
more. I'd probably have a lot more success if I focused on like half marathons and marathons. But I don't like those races
So
very much.
was
so.
Boston a dream that you had? I mean, is this
You know, that's strange
So
because
this was your first Boston.
yes, yeah. I mean, I was kind of ambivalent about it because early on when I first started running at 207 or even when I started losing weight, I mean, I was a 10-minute mile guy if I ran 1 mile or if it was 20, it didn't matter. I was running a 10-minute pace. So thinking about Boston, I always kind of saw it as elitist and I didn't want any part of it. I was like, I wouldn't do that even if they invited me.
Dave's sitting here
Yeah.
wearing a very purple and
Yeah.
orange.
it's already
So-
on the
Guy
Facebook
in the
page.
Boston jacket.
So I was really torn even going into Boston just because I was like, well, I want to know what this is about. But at the same time, I feel like running is something that everybody should be able to enjoy. And, there shouldn't be a race out there that says, no, you can't come because you're not fast enough.
And meanwhile, all your friends have been mocking you for months now
Yeah.
about Boston. We've been encouraging him to get the jacket because he said he didn't want to get the jacket.
Yeah, that's right.
And it made him wear it tonight.
I've
I
had
didn't
made him
encourage that. I think it's silly to buy the jacket if you're not going to wear it.
Now that you've done Boston, what's your dream race?
Well, that's hard to say. I mean, probably like the most perfect thing for me is like a really beautiful trail 50K or 50 mile. I was like watching the Gorges 100K video the other day, and I was like, oh my God, that place is beautiful. I got to go out there. Maybe not even do the race, just to go run those trails or like do that
what I'm
trail that
doing
goes
on
around Mount
Saturday.
Rainier. Have you heard of that? There's like a 90-something mile trail that.
The Wonderland Trail?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shaq and
something-
Vanessa did that, yeah.
Yeah, that sort of thing.
Have you
But-
done any like any big ultras out west in the mountains or?
No, not really. I mean, probably the biggest well-known ultra that I've done has been the JFK 50, but that's in Maryland.
Right. I assumed it was somewhere out east where JFK
What's
is.
your
Yeah.
what do you have coming up next?
My next race is the Ice Age Trail 50 mile.
And that's in what? Just in a week and a half, right?
Yeah,
Oh my God.
exactly.
Right
Yeah.
from Boston to that, huh?
Yeah.
How do your legs feel after Boston?
Oh, I feel good.
They
Yeah.
weren't too beat up from the hills.
No.
Well, let's transition into that because that's our next segment anyways. Let's talk about Dave's Boston
Yeah.
experience. But before we go too far down the road, who would you recommend that we have on the podcast as a guest?
Well, I can't be impartial here, but
No, be
Rachel Ballard would
Okay.
be an amazing guest.
Now, what about
She's probably the least likely to agree to do it. But
I don't want to play the idiot here. Who's that?
she's in our group?
Okay, I thought
Yeah.
maybe she was.
and everybody just
either you guys-
refers to her as badass Rachel. Like when you say, "Oh, Rachel said this," which
She was
Rachel?
the first
you know,
woman
badass
ever to
Rachel.
finish a really, really hard 100-mile race in Arizona.
Oh wow.
She's a total.
So we could maybe get her on, huh?
Oh yeah, and what about like non-local? Anybody in the whole world who would be someone that that we interview on Skype that you think is awesome?
Oh, like an elite runner or
Doesn't elite runner, famous runner, somebody in the industry, could be just a famous person, anybody.
Petraeus.
It could be General Petraeus.
Hey, he is a runner though.
I know, and I thought maybe you had an in.
You know who's actually a runner that I'd really like to hear about their running and their approach to fitness is Bill Murray.
Bill Murray.
Yeah.
Everybody always sees him at Waterfall Glen.
Yeah, and it shocked me. I saw him on Christmas Day at Waterfall Glen, and I was like,
didn't
"Is
know-
that Bill Murray?"
He's a
always
runner?
at Waterfall Glen, yeah.
Yeah, and
All right.
apparently he's out there all the time.
All right, let's talk about
Let's
Boston.
get Bill Murray on. He'll love to come
Boston.
down here.
We want to hear about your Boston.
Walk us through everything.
What was your
Before we do that, can I just say that I'm like dreading all of this, like
what?
road marathon conversation? I hope we can pull this off.
There's people that listen to this who are
This is the highlight of the year.
I know. Sorry, guys. You had amazing races.
Corey's the guy in the room that just would rather have
Can we start with why Corey hates road races?
I don't hate road races. Actually, watching
fuck
you,
the
I was-
gas. Let's
I
talk
was-
to Corey about
I was
why he
tracking
hates
you
it so
guys,
much.
and I saw your little runner guys with the fast feet, and it's very exciting to watch. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna fucking do that. Like, I have to do Boston, and then that day goes away, and I don't ever think about it again.
Yeah, man.
So I actually do like it. It seems cool.
Have you ever done a road race?
Yeah, I've done Chicago a few times. It's
Have
fun.
you been at
Cat
the
marathons.
podcast when we
I-
talked
I-
about
I-
this?
I don't know why he hates it so
I
much.
have fun.
doesn't even
I
know
don't hate it
Kat's
at all.
name,
I'm just
so-
fucking around.
Yeah.
I do like road
Katrina.
Catalina?
All right, so
There's an L in there.
what was your qualifier?
I did. It's called the Last Chance BQ.2 Marathon, and that's in Geneva, Illinois.
And what was your time?
2:59. That was my PR.
And now you love Ice Age, you love running on the trails, you're
Mm-hmm.
talking about the Wonderland Trail and all this other crap. How is it that you find yourself at the Last Chance to Boston Marathon hauling ass to try to qualify?
Actually, a guy that I work with, well, I don't work directly with him, but a guy that is at Argonne National Lab talked me into doing the race, saying he was going to do it because he wanted to go back to Boston because the previous year he went, but he was injured, so he only ran the first mile. And he said, well, this is a perfect thing. If you don't actually want to do a marathon, like you just go run here and it's just 8 loops around this bike path and then you get your time and, and they actually had a computer set up at the finish line where if you were more than 5 minutes faster than your BQ time or the BQ standard for your age, that you could register for Boston right there at the finish line.
Oh, awesome.
So
Yeah.
what did you have to run in order to qualify?
Under 310,
Okay. And what did you run?
259.
And then you immediately, it's a no-brainer, you're going to Boston then?
No, actually, I still had to think about it a little bit. As well, especially at the finish line of a marathon after you've run hard.
Yeah.
You know,
I
like
wanna
the
do
last.
this again.
Oh yeah, I want to do this again.
Can I do this one more time?
But yeah, so I didn't sign up at the finish line, but we went to breakfast a couple hours later, and I registered over my phone at breakfast.
Nice.
It sounded like from, you were kind of communicating with us after you had left for Boston that you were having a really good time pre-race. Tell us about what you did the day before the race.
Well, I kind of made it a combo trip where my best friend from high school lives in Boston, so my wife and I.
It's awesome. Did you stay with him?
Yes. Well, part of the time, and hotel the night of, but we went out to visit with him and kind of see the city and
First time to Boston?
No,
no,
my
probably
parents lived there.
Oh, okay.
For a few years, so I'd been there before, but this was kind of like being off on my own, and so we just stayed with him for a couple days, and went and saw whatever we wanted to see, and did the Sam Adams tour and all that sort of thing.
You were like drunk the day before the race.
No. I mean, we went
You're
on
texting
the
us at
tour.
like 10 a.m. You're like, I'm wasted.
No, that did not happen, but.
It was sort of like that.
Yeah, I mean, we did go to the tour like at 9 in the morning, and I mean, they did serve us a bunch of drinks, but
How many oysters did you have? A lot up till-
Oysters?
Yeah.
none. No,
I
no.
Why would you have oysters?
had like 6 dozen oysters.
No, I don't eat seafood, so
Were you nervous?
about the race.
The race, yeah.
No. I mean, I
Whoa,
kind
we,
of.
we haven't done the. How was the expo? Did you
Oh,
enjoy
the expo was a nightmare. Oh my god. I mean, for anybody that's done the Chicago Marathon, the expo has just as much stuff in it as the Chicago Expo. However, it's packed into a quarter of the space.
It's like 4 floors with escalators. And
So you're on top of each other in there, and it's just it
they
gave me
do a
an
good job.
anxiety
though.
attack.
There's a whole thing where you get your bib.
Yeah, I
Did you get
mean,
the
it
picture
was
of a
orderly,
sweatshirt?
and
So my dad weighs like 250 pounds. He doesn't run or do anything. He is super excited when I get my bib. He wants a photo of me getting the bib. He's like, there are all these tables, and all the people back there are behind you. I'm like, Dad, let's just get the bib and get out of here.
What percentage of people were wearing the jacket, when you're walking around Boston?
there was plenty of people that I think ordered it online.
Yes, on the airplane.
And had it prior to getting
Really?
to the expo.
What flight did you take in?
I don't remember. It
It
was
was like half
Are there
the flight,
are like the flights full of runners too? Like
like
everybody-
2/3 full.
yeah. I don't think we had many runners on.
We had a lady there
flight, 'cause
on
I
our
went
flight.
like 4 days ahead of time.
We had our lady on. She was walking up and down the aisle talking to everybody. She was so excited.
I mean, that's the thing about Boston is I can get that it's a special race, and people are very excited about it. And there's people probably like you that's your race, right?
No,
That's-
it was never my race.
No?
Now it's my race.
but you see what I'm saying
Yeah.
though. Like I didn't feel that way about the race itself. Like I
how
thought
long-
it was fun.
How many years had you been running marathons?
Well, I guess 5
5 years.
Yeah, I did my first one in 2010.
And then within what 4 years you qualified for it, yeah.
Sure. I mean, I had a couple of years where I didn't do any marathons.
Right. So
Yeah.
I get it.
But the thing was, like, the race, I mean,
All right, so you
it
weren't
was
nervous.
exciting.
You weren't nervous about the race.
No.
Aaron, were you nervous? Or is this Dave's Boston
We're on
experience? or
Dave,
Aaron's?
right?
We're on Dave.
Only Dave's.
I mean,
Okay, sorry,
I get more nervous about, like, logistics, like
Yeah,
waking up and, like, having clothes and not forgetting something.
let
Have
me
you
ask
had a
you
bad
thi-
experience with not waking up or not having the right stuff?
And Boston's got a lot of logistics too.
I was half an hour late to my first 50-mile race. And I started it anyways, and,
Well, let me ask you this: going into the Boston Marathon, did you go in with saying, "I want to have X time," or "I want to,"
Yeah.
requalify, or any of that kind of stuff?
yeah, I definitely wanted to try to PR there.
Because I've met
Wow.
some people like
That's tough to do.
Katarina was more like, "I'm just going to enjoy the experience."
No.
of
Yeah.
You didn't have a goal, did you?
Yeah, I wanted to get a PR.
Yeah. She
Oh,
said
I didn't know
was-
that.
Did you not listen to our podcast? she said
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought for some reason I thought you did
Are you
not
a-
push
No.
it.
Did you think that because her time wasn't very good?
No, for mine, I was going for PR, but like at mile 15, my quads just blew up.
Yep.
Okay.
I mean,
Standard.
Yeah. So. Tell,
15?
I want to know,
Yep.
like, what were some of the highlights of your race?
Oh, at
Or
Boston.
of being on that course,
Thought you meant
Dave?
that.
I mean, I really like the course. As far as like a road race goes, I think it's like really interesting that it's challenging to run it intelligently, you know, with all the downhill in the beginning and kind of how it rolls through the middle and, you know, not getting too excited high-fiving everyone and that sort
a
of
lot
thing.
of high five going on.
Yeah, I mean, in that respect, like it was an exciting race. It really was, and I like the course. Like I like, as far as a marathon goes, I think it's very interesting and something that's like I would like to go back, not because it's Boston, but because the course is the way it is. Not
Same course for the last 119 years.
yeah.
What did you think of Heartbreak Hill?
Heartbreak Hill. I didn't realize we were at the top of Heartbreak Hill when.
They usually have a sign that
Yep,
say the
same.
heartbreak's
I had
over.
the
Right,
same
right.
experience.
Well, you know, I thought we were on like a hill that was before Heartbreak Hill.
Right. There's like a fake out hill beforehand.
Well,
yeah.
I thought that's where we were at,
Yeah.
and I saw that sign. It said, like, congratulations, you conquered Heartbreak Hill.
Yeah, something
And I was like,
that.
really? That's it?
It's only like a quarter mile. It's not
Well,
that- it's not
yeah.
that
I
long.
mean, the thing was, it wasn't steep at all.
Yeah.
It's like a 2% grade or something for like half a mile.
Yeah.
So you'll be back.
I think I want to do it again.
Nice.
And you were close to your PR, right?
Yeah, I was like 4 minutes slower almost.
What-
so-
303.
So something
Yeah, I
went
did a
wrong.
302
What went
something.
wrong?
That's incredible.
Nice.
I don't know if anything really went that wrong. Like I was having a little trouble with my hamstring, and kind of early on, I just kind of felt like it wasn't going to happen. You know, I was running pretty fast in the beginning, but I kind of had that feeling that it just wasn't going to be my day.
Well, that's a harder course to PR on than what your previous PR was, right? That was probably just like a flat loop course here in
but
Illinois.
I didn't really know what I could run either. Like when I ran a 2:59, I didn't feel like that was like 100% effort. You know, it was more like I had just come off a 100-mile race and I didn't realize I could even run 6:50 pace because I hadn't done it, you know, in months. So I thought maybe I could run a little bit faster. And, you know, especially with like running hilly races and spending a lot of time on the trails, I thought the hills wouldn't affect me that much, which they didn't really seem to.
So you didn't feel like your legs blowing out at mile 15, 16?
No.
That's typically Kat just talked about hers, and that's my first two is the same way.
Yeah. I mean, at that time, you weren't really a trail runner, though,
Did
right?
you kiss any women? I'm from Wellesley.
Well, you have to, right?
I mean, I know that you're married.
Yeah, and I mean,
tradition.
I would say
Dave,
that...
what
like a
happens on
rule.
The podcast stays on the podcast.
Right. I mean, I think, like, midway through the race, I'd kind of decided that I was going to try to make it a mix of, like, running hard and, like, enjoying the atmosphere.
Right.
That's cool.
So about halfway around, like, you know, around where Wellesley was, conveniently,
That's halfway.
Things started
Yeah.
to get fun.
I decided that I was gonna, you know, like pay more attention to what was going around me and the
Were
crowds.
there cuter guys on the submarine than the women from Wellesley? Like 50-50? I did
some
not.
good-looking guys in the Navy?
Exactly.
Yeah.
In the Navy.
How did you select who to kiss?
What?
They kind of they select you.
Yeah, you just kind
find
of
the
run
one-
over there and you get like manhandled.
There was one lady, and we talked about this earlier.
Oh,
who had
and
a-
you
Yeah.
check them out. You
they're screaming.
pick
They
who you want
they
to
want
kiss and go
yeah.
towards them.
Yeah.
But you just let them take you. Basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
There was a woman that had a big sign that said that she uses tongue, and I gave her a quick eye look. Scotty would.
Well,
Scotty
let's
is
talk about
cuter.
your race now too.
No. we're gonna finish this up here.
Okay.
At the end, when you were all done, did you feel like somebody was gonna die of hypothermia? Because
I thought I was gonna die
no.
because oh my god, I waited for so long in that family waiting area.
It's like a mile long wait, and they give
Yeah.
you like this little teeny blanket, and it's 40 degrees and raining.
And I mean, there was a volunteer that coming over to me and saying, like, look, you're going in the wheelchair, and I'm taking you over to the medical
Really?
tent if you don't leave here in 5 minutes, because I was shaking so much.
And you've done like 100-milers. Were you colder at the end of this?
That's the coldest I've ever been
Yeah.
in my. And
Full-
I lived in South Dakota when I was a little kid.
like
so,
full teeth chatter. Like
yeah,
you couldn't stop.
whole body convulsions.
Yeah.
And I saw a lot of people going off in the wheelchairs for medical
I thought for
attention.
sure somebody was going to die of hypothermia at the end of it.
Yeah. It was unbelievably cold.
Yeah. I mean, it's like 25,000 people with 10% body fat, you know, and they don't give you any blankets or anything, and there's nothing hot. They give you like a banana, and they won't open the water for you, and I'm like,
Did this have to do with all the security? Is that why you
I don't
couldn't
know.
like quickly get your stuff?
oh, you
No,
can
I
never
mean,
get your stuff. at
It
the end
was
of
no
these things.
different than the Chicago Marathon, where you have to kind of walk the gauntlet.
It feels like it's like
afterwards.
6 miles
It
away.
was always
No,
irritating.
you go to the bus and you get your stuff off the bus.
No,
There's
you're
no
not allowed
bus.
to leave anything on the bus.
Yeah, there's no bus.
Not anymore.
Oh, they don't do that anymore.
No.
Oh, okay.
It's
Like,
all kinds of security. They like do like a wand. They like metal detect you.
yeah, they inspect. Yeah, I got patted down getting on the bus.
There's
I
like
don't
2
know if you did
fingers up my
too.
butt at one point, I think. And I got,
What?
Well, that was the fun
let's
part.
move on to you then. Let's talk about when we.
Wait. There were two.
no, we're moving
Not
on.
related to the race.
Yeah.
So
just
did you kiss a girl?
that
No,
weekend.
I was in fucking
You were
PR
wanted,
mode.
but in your butt had things in it, but that's it.
Makes you run faster.
Okay.
I did have to go to the bathroom.
I don't
the
want to
entire
kiss
race.
if you could just put
The
a couple
whole race I
fingers
had
in
to go
my
to the
ass,
bathroom.
that'd be
We got to
good.
make a shirt that says that. Please don't kiss me, but you can stick a finger in my butt.
They like that in Australia.
So
What-
inappropriate.
What was your time at the race?
2:50:38,
And what was your goal?
3 hours.
Oh, speedy.
That was a 24-minute better than my last two Bostons.
Me
Wow.
and Kat were talking about it the whole time.
Yeah.
We were like following along with you and thinking about how you were doing.
You thought for sure I was going to blow out.
Not at all. Not at all. We thought you were going to have the greatest day or the worst.
At
of
the halfway
days.
point, I'm like, if I blow out, that's all I'm going to hear about. Why did you go out so fast?
Well,
I don't know about you, but I kind of wanted to. Like, I wanted to really just charge for half of it.
That's
and
what I
then
did the
blow
first
up
2 years.
and then walk it
and
in.
yeah.
With the crowd just like jeering me.
Last year, my last 3 miles, I did like a 30-minute 10 or 5K last year.
Oh wow.
And just, I looked at the photos. There was like 60-year-old women passing me, and it was just, I mean, it's just depressing.
And that's another one of those where Aaron would say, "Oh, I was on 2:47 pace."
Yeah. At
Until I
mile
completely
one.
fell apart and had to walk it in.
Yeah.
So, Aaron, what do you think accounted for this like amazing
Spin.
performance?
Spin.
No,
And
Not Boulder.
I only ran probably, so like how many miles a week were you running to train for this? Probably the same as you do for anything else, right?
Yeah, it doesn't really change. So I was probably between 50 and 60 miles a
Alright.
week.
All right. So for me, that's kind of where I'm at now. And that's like low mileage for me. I used to do like 100 and then my hips started hurting. So now I'm doing like 50 or 60 and I do spin for like an hour or 2 hours a day. But I think really it was just going to Boulder. I can't believe that the oxygenated blood is that powerful, but it feels like you're just on drugs. I recommend anybody trying it for a month.
Did you get the jacket?
I got the jacket, didn't wear it.
What else did you buy at the expo?
I bought $300 worth of shit.
Really?
I went
What?
all in.
wow.
I bought everybody a mug in my family except for you guys.
I have my 2013 mug that I
Yeah.
posted on the
No,
Facebook.
no,
page.
I
Aaron.
got 2
were you-
hats. I got my brother the Adidas tracksuit jacket. Got my dad a hat. He likes to wear the hat around the yard.
I would have bet money that he would have walked in here today with jackets for all of us.
I should have. I thought I should get Scotty a jacket, but he didn't run the race.
Oh, you look so good in
Okay,
jacket.
wait, Aaron, were you nervous before this race began? Like when you were standing there waiting to start?
No, I was like really calm.
Maybe that helped.
I was so confident because I ran all these mountains in Boulder. So the thing I noticed between this year and the years prior is going like you said, like Dave said on the Heartbreak Hill. The last 2 years, it felt like a hill to me, and I would die on it. By then, I was already dead usually because mile 15 was like that's where the downhill ends, and my thighs were blown out. But I had all this confidence from running 4,000 feet up and down on these hills that.
Were you like? Did you start by looking at your watch right away and making sure you were going the right pace?
I was trying
or
to
you just
I was
kinda-
trying to go real slow. Like my goal was to do like a 1:30 first half, and after the first 2 miles, I felt really good. So
And was your whole family there?
my youngest brother wasn't there, but yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
As a fast person, well, for both of you, what do you guys eat and drink during a marathon?
7 gels.
Yeah,
7.
I think I did the same thing. I had like 6 or 7 gels.
That's it.
Every how many miles is that?
It's like every 4 miles, 5 miles.
And then you just drink water the rest of the time?
Gatorade, water. Yeah. I'm always really worried about cramps, and I actually got a little cramp at mile 25,
Cramp where?
Cramp.
like in my calf.
Oh.
Yeah. So I thought with 4 miles to go, I could maybe still break 250, and I sped up even more, and then a little cramp hit, and then I'm just terrified because if a cramp hits, you can't move anymore.
So when was it that you knew that like this was going to be a PR performance?
Mile 22.
And then were you just like flying high those last 5
Oh,
miles?
I was speeding up. I was doing like 6:25s the last 4 miles. I think my fastest 5K was the last 3 miles.
Whoa, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So it's fun when you're speeding and you're passing people. I was passing people on the uphill and on the downhill.
Nice.
And that's why like we were saying earlier, I was like trying to chat people up. It's like I get real high and chatty. Nobody wants to talk.
He does have a track record of getting high and chatty. At the Las Vegas Marathon, he was intoxicated, but he had like seven clamatos and started mocking people and running
Scotty
backwards.
says I'm not allowed to drink 7 beers during marathon and run backwards.
He's running backwards and talking to people at the same time. And
Yeah.
I said, they just think you're an asshole. They don't think you're being
We're like a
funny.
mile
Because the other
24.
people are like actually trying.
Exactly.
I'm trying.
They don't appreciate
trying to have
it.
fun. By the way, guess who also ran the Boston Marathon that did Vegas?
Who?
Rudy.
Oh, the guy that played Rudy in the movie.
Yeah. I finished the Vegas Marathon with him.
No one's verified this. This could have been.
I'm trying to think of his name.
He was practically in
He's
a black
the Hobbit.
Sean Astin.
He was the Hobbit.
Yeah.
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 I have no idea what you're talking
You know
about.
what's so funny?
either.
The Hobbit. Did you ever see the Hobbit?
No.
Nope.
Did you ever see Rudy?
Nope.
I
Oh, Corey Sports.
Sorry, go ahead. I'll stay out of this one.
My wife Allison, she's done the Chicago Marathon 3 times, and one year Sean Astin did it as well, and I think she beat him by like 5 minutes, and she's like, "I beat that Hobbit."
Or Rudy.
Rudy.
That's what I.
So that's the
Yeah.
new standard.
Yeah.
Beat Sean. It used to be Oprah. Now it's Sean
he's
Astin.
definitely not fast.
How do you do at Boston?
450 or something.
Oh, really?
How did he qualify for it then?
Charity.
Well, if you're a big shot,
You're a big
just
shot.
Good to go.
Yeah.
I bet you Bill Murray
didn't
could
know
run
that.
it.
So you
Just
can
show
buy
up.
your way into Boston.
I think there's 24,000 qualifiers and like 5,000 charity runners. Yeah. So yeah, you can buy your way in. I think you can buy your way into Leadville, right?
Yes, $1,000.
That's what I'll be doing probably.
You should do that.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna go as a team. We're all gonna be.
I'll
in.
be there.
Dave, you want to go to Leadville with us next year?
Sure.
This year.
Dave's
No.
That's what I was trying to ask because Dave was like he was saying that he wants to do big epic.
Well, what,
Yeah, I would do it.
What's
I
next
mean,
for you guys?
That's what I'm thinking.
What's next for you?
I want to do like a big epic 100-mile.
So, are you done with the marathon?
I'm gonna do Chicago. I've already got new goals.
Okay.
They're embarrassingly
What's
fast.
your new goal?
Well, I gotta
Say it out loud, brother.
I gotta lose 15 pounds first.
Okay.
Which everybody's terrified of. But like 140, 130, 142,
And what's the race goal?
239, 59.
Why that? Just sub 240?
You got to get a 30 handle in it because it's Chicago. It's supposed to be fast, right? I mean, Boston's
Wait,
supposed
so
to be
losing
faster.
15 pounds will just automatically drop how much from your
That's
time?
probably. I mean, well, and then Boston versus Chicago. I mean, there's got to be some kind of difference there, right?
Yep.
Because you're.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, I looked at my
Except-
splits for Boston, and it was like I was doing a 640, then I did a 615, then I did a 635, then I did a 610. It was all over the map.
Oh,
It's
because
so
of the
funny to
hills.
hear that
the hills.
because it's like, I mean, with Indiana, you guys probably never even thought about like 1 mile versus the other mile and what your splits were.
No.
No,
From-
yeah,
no
from-
way.
when you're doing, yeah, I mean, that's, well, by the way, at the end of this race, when I finished, right when I hit the finish line, I couldn't move my legs anymore, and I was freezing cold, and I was shaking, and my hips hurt, and I was like, how does anybody do a 100-mile race?
It's a little different.
We go a little
level.
slow.
I'm dead. Like, we like walked a half mile to lunch, and I couldn't walk.
I think some of that might be psychological though. Like your brain knows when it's getting to the finish
Oh,
line,
yeah.
and then it shuts it down.
Yeah.
I'll tell you.
If it was 50,
I
you
believe it.
Just
probably
get
could
me
do that
there
for
and then
50
stop.
miles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, even if you just go out for an 8-mile run, that 8th mile sucks.
Yeah, always, no matter what.
Isn't that funny?
It's all
Yeah.
mental.
I think it's
Yeah.
funny that like we were talking about how this weekend, and that's a whole separate story, but my feet were screwed, but my knees didn't hurt, my hips didn't hurt, my back didn't hurt until I was at mile 99, and then we knew it was coming to the end, and I was like, oh my god, now everything hurts. I think your body just knows.
Maybe it's just the endorphins that just finally wear off or something. Just-
something,
yeah.
you know.
I think I that must mean that I should have run further because I didn't feel like that at the end.
Did you think
So
about how
maybe I
you
need to
didn't?
do a 150.
Well, that's the thing. I finished this race and I immediately thought, well, I think I did everything perfectly, but I think I can go faster at Chicago because it's flat.
All right, so your next goal is to break 240 at Chicago,
Yeah.
and
Got to do a
And
full
anything
month
else?
in Boulder. That's it.
that's it.
That's the only goal.
When are you going to start training for Leadville?
After that.
Okay.
So
well,
not this year.
you don't even figure out if you get in Leadville until like December, right?
Well, they just had a thing where you can buy your way in again now through coaching.
Oh, for this year?
for this year.
Oh, I noticed that
So
it was all sold out. But
Yeah, it's sold out, and then you could buy your way in through camp
I
once you
can't
knew
do
it was
it
sold
this
out,
year.
and then you can buy your way in through coaching. So I assume the same thing will happen next
I got
year.
to start fresh.
I heard there's
So next year.
there's some car dealerships offering Leadville entries
Yeah, no
if you
shit.
buy a new Nissan.
I just bought a new car. Fuck. I could have bought a Nissan.
In Leadville.
I know. I mean, my question was, like, I was looking at it, like, is Leadville or is the Western States? Which is the more prestigious
Well,
one?
that
Western
takes us right to our
States.
next thing that we were going to
about that?
discuss.
Western States is more prestigious.
It's a good segue. It's almost like someone's paying you. The next segment, we were going to talk about race size, hype, popularity, opinions, Boston, Leadville, Western States, things like that. It's a subject that always interests me because you hear about how great Boston is, you hear about how great Western States is. Comrades is another good example. These mega hyped races versus the low key, old school, fun races. Do we think that the experience of running Boston is that much better than the experience of running the 26.2 last chance, whatever you call it, or
loops.
is the experience of running Leadville that much better than the experience of running Ouray 100? Comrades is the one that I haven't done Boston.
Comrades
Well,
is the 56 or 63 mile one in South Africa.
Comrades is it's a 56 mile across South Africa. It's the largest ultra marathon, and
How many participants?
18,000.
18,000.
And it's on the road. And it kind of like when you were describing the vibe of Boston, it's the same thing. You get into Durban and everyone's wearing their hat, the hat that everyone gets in their goodie bag, and everyone has all their Comrades shit on, and it's like a whole vibe of, and then there's how many times you've run it is on your bibs. There's the people that are in the club, the Lifetime Club, and all this other stuff. And other than the fact that it was so cool to be running in Africa and so cool to be in a historic race like that, the experience itself, I didn't think was better than the experience of, like, say, Ice Age, where you're running in like a beautiful forest and you're kind of by yourself. And I mean, even this weekend in Indiana, there was a lot of time where it was just me all alone in the forest having a good time. I tend to like that experience a lot more than being crowded with a bunch of people in a mega race with a lot of hype and a lot of bling and a big medal. Or the other thing that I would say, the Silamo race that Kat and I did this year, 60 people, bluegrass band, no medal, no buckle, no nothing. They gave you a little rock that was painted with a little thing on it for running 3 races over a whole weekend, 3 really fucking hard races. What do you guys think? Big race, small race, well hyped? I mean, did Boston live up to the hype? Did it meet your expectations, Dave?
I mean, I expected to hate it, so I guess it exceeded my expectations.
Lay that floor low.
However, I mean, like I didn't get enchanted by the everything that's going on around the race, though. I just like the course, and I mean, I'm sure I like the screaming crowds and stuff, but I mean, even that gets old after a while.
You don't wear music, do you?
No.
No. Nobody does it, Boston.
But I mean, I also felt like it was so strange to be out there, because one thing I didn't expect about Boston was for it to always be so crowded.
No, the whole.
Yeah,
You were crowded throughout the race.
Right, that you're just constantly tripping over other runners. Even Chicago thins out after a while, but the entire race, like, I was concerned about going too fast in the first mile, and I couldn't even get under like a 7:10 pace because it was so crowded.
It's really crowded the first couple miles.
Yeah, it was awful, but it was like that all the way to the end, for me at least. And I didn't expect that, but I mean, you're surrounded by people, but it was kind of lonely too.
Yeah.
Because nobody wants to talk to you. There's nobody to really kind of like just pace off of or anything like that.
Didn't find like a fast girl to get behind. Pace car.
No. And so it was kind of strange in that way, because you can go out and do a trail race and not see people for hours, but just kind of couple up with somebody for a little bit and like have a good time. And, 3 hours pass before you even realize it, and that's the time that it takes to run a whole marathon.
I feel like, I've never run a trail race against you, but what I like about the smaller trail races, I've only done 2, is that there's actually like a race component to it. For me, like there's 3 or 4 guys that I'm competing to get into like the top 5 or something, and that's what makes that particularly those kind of races fun. Do you experience that at those? I mean, you can actually you actually like chat them up for 20 miles at the same time.
I mean, for example, like a few weeks before Boston, I did this smaller race. It's a 30-mile trail race called Clinton Lake. It's another one of my favorites, and it's kind of like that. I mean, it's small enough. There's only 125 people, I think.
Right.
And even though people are competing, like I really wanted to try to like at least crack the top 10 or,
Right.
Whatever it was. And like, I still spent a lot of time like running with one guy and we were talking, getting to know each other, that sort of thing.
Yep.
Even though we were still competing against each other. But I mean, it's a long enough race and you're moving slow enough, even though, it's relatively short as far as ultras go, that you can have that experience with somebody and still compete.
Well, what about you, Aaron? You've done a lot of marathons. You've now been doing marathons all over. What's your favorite marathon?
One that I just ran
Boston.
because it's my PR. That's the only reason.
But you seem to be much more focused than the rest of us on like.
I really hated Boston.
Ultimate goal.
Yeah. Well, I think
time goal.
I guess for me, I just have to have a goal.
So if you go do the monumental marathon, let's say you go to Chicago and you trip and fall and you're done.
Yeah. Then
And then you go to monumental, you run a 3:39. Does that automatically just become your favorite marathon?
probably.
So it doesn't have anything to do with the race experience, the culture.
Well, here's the thing about Boston, though. I guess the reason why the first time I went there is because like Dave, I was really heavy for years, and I ran heavy for like 10 years, and I thought people that ran Boston were just like pure athletes or something. Like those people are just born to run that fast. There's nothing I can do to get there. Mm-hmm. And I like the idea that with running, if you put a lot of effort and hard work into it, and you make that your focus and your goal, you can, really climb the ladder so long as you're don't get injured. Basically, there's some luck involved with injury, I guess. But if you work really hard, you can accomplish something. And Boston is one thing that kind of demonstrates that, because you get in there, you have to demonstrate that you can compete at, I don't know, I guess for the 3:05 marathon time, I guess that's only like 5% of all marathoners run that fast or something. I don't know what it is. But anyway, that's why I like Boston.
I can't imagine who would do that kind of research.
And that's so funny because
Well, there was an article in the Wall Street Journal like a couple days before it came out.
that's exactly what I don't like about Boston.
Right.
So we're opposites in that way.
I just like
I'm like I just want everybody to have fun and
I guess
since
I
it's
feel
such an iconic race, I feel like everybody should have a shot at doing it.
and I guess I feel like everybody does, but you have to work hard to do it.
See,
That's
now,
my point.
Aaron, I think maybe I come from a totally different viewpoint, and maybe Corey and Scott are more like I am. I feel like the challenge that I'm looking for is maybe I want to do something harder than I did before. Like, okay, there was 20,000 feet of elevation gain at the Bear, and I want to see if I can even do more than that, or
Right.
something that's even more rugged. And so it's like the time sort of becomes irrelevant, and it's like
It's kind of the same.
conquering
It's kind of the same thing,
difficult course. It is. It's like the same.
just a
thing,
different
but
metric.
It's just a different metric, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like if you said I want to break a 17-minute 5K, that'd be really hard. It's just a different kind of hard.
Yeah.
So the first thing you look at is, well, let's get the fastest 5K trail or path or whatever. Then let's figure out how I can get my weight down, or which you don't need to do. I'm just saying.
But we've kind of gotten off the topic.
Yeah.
You know,
Anyway, so for me, I really enjoyed the running super fast in that one, but it just is a pure like of all the races I've ever done. I think
That sound was his teeth jumping together.
I kind of liked. I mean, but like I liked the 50K on the lake, just because there wasn't a lot of competition, and I could be in the top 3 or whatever that year.
Did you? That's awesome.
Yeah. So it's just fun.
Did you do that, Dave?
I've done the Lakefront 50K 3 times.
I think we need a 10 junk miles Lakefront 50K race here.
we need some sort of a 10 junk miles
But
race.
but the thing with
Yeah.
those small ones like that is they're not like I ran a half marathon in Kansas City. Like there's no water.
You won
They
by
don't-
6 minutes.
They don't like the Boston. Every mile you're gonna get water and Gatorade, and it's gonna be sitting out there for you on a platter. I mean, I kind of like well supported races. You do these ones where there's just nothing there, and I'm just like,
There's no. Do you use water bottles at Boston or road marathons? No.
no.
Dave, did you? It seemed like
I didn't, but I would consider it.
I wonder
you
if
know.
Wardian did.
I've seen like 3 people do it, and I'm just like, why are you carrying water? There's every mile they got all the water.
There
you
was way
want.
too many water stations at Boston.
Every mile.
It was- yeah, it's way too
Dude,
much.
you should
Like,
go to Comrades. There's 56 miles, and they have like a water station every kilometer, and that really screws me as an ultra runner. Every time I see a aid station, I feel like I
fill out
gotta
your
stop.
drink.
Exactly. Yeah, I
Like
had
a
that
water
same problem.
log.
I was like, why am I grabbing water? I don't want this.
I mean, I like it because I just go like just a little teeny sip.
Maybe it's a 10 junk miles topic for discussion or for thought. But I mean, really what I'm getting at is if you take away your performance and your subjective goal and whether or not it was achieved, I'm just talking about the race experience itself. does it live up to the hype or not? You know, like I would be interested. Like one of the things I do is that I meet someone like we paced Andy Comita, who hasn't given us permission to use his name, at the Leadville 100. Andy's done like 50 to 100 milers. He's done all of them. And one of the things when I meet someone like that is I say, what was your favorite 100 miler? And I'm constantly surprised by the fact that almost no one ever says Western States. It's usually something like Wasatch or Hurt or some, race that has a different reputation. So I'm wondering, like from marathoners, and maybe our friend Ethan would be a good person to ask this, someone that's done all of these marathons, which marathon really stands out and why? Because I know he just did the Big Sur Marathon, and if you ask me, that was the one that stands out to me. It didn't have anything to do with my performance, didn't have anything to do with, it was in terms of the view and the experience and the people.
Well, that was just beautiful out there.
It was one of the
I'm sure there's all kinds of, like San Francisco's probably really nice, and Portland's supposed to be good.
Well, if anybody's listening to this and they have strong thoughts about races that either lived up to the hype or didn't live up to the hype, they should post them on the Facebook page because it's something that's always really interested me. And I haven't done as much research in the marathon context, including Boston, as I have in the ultra context. And I'm always surprised, like even our friend Mike Siltman or Catcher Corbett, they always bring up a 100 miler that's not the one that you would expect most people to say.
I know that you and our buddy hated the Vegas Marathon because they made you guys quit early and all. I had a great time.
I think that might be probably the greatest half marathon there is.
Yeah.
But the problem is that once you get done with the half marathon part, it's just like an 8 mile out and back in the middle of nowhere. And
they cut you off because they start the time right when the gun goes off.
Well, and that might have had something to do with intoxication there and too.
But there's a marathon that I had a really good time with, and I didn't care about anything.
Sometimes it's fun to just
run with my
stop at a
buddies.
taco stand.
You stop for like 8
order
minutes.
some chicken tacos, wait for them to cook them.
Took some photos in front of the Golden Pawn Shop.
When I wrote them my scathing email about how they cut us off prematurely and they screwed up and I wanted my money back, I kind of half expected them to like look at my Strava data and say, "Why did this mile take you 45 minutes?"
Why
by
were
the
you
taco
stationary
stand?
for 30 minutes
How is that our problem? Why are you blaming
right
us?
at this taco stand?
And the meat was not pre-prepared.
No, they had to cook the chicken.
Raw chicken.
We're like standing out there while they're cooking chicken.
On this topic, I feel like Leadville is a like big hypey 100 miler that I love, even though I also feel like I would love and do love a lot of small races. So I think that's one for me that lives up to the hype. Or I don't even know if I feel like my experience there, the feeling at the starting line when there's just like 800 people and a shotgun blast, like it's just fucking cool. Like
Nobody loves Leadville as much as you do.
It starts at like 3 a.m. or something too.
4 a.m. Yeah. So I think that's one that lives up to the hype, even though I also
Yeah. Well, I think it's interesting. I think it'd be
That's great to
it'd be
hear.
fun
That
if we
was, 'cause
go.
that's the one that I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Oh.
We're all signing up. We're all going in the
Yeah.
lottery, and now we just drafted Dave too. So
Sure, why not?
we're gonna do it as a team though. So we're all gonna be in it together. We're all in or not.
Okay.
Oh, that exists?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a
Team
team.
Yeah,
entry.
There's a
I've
team.
heard. Yeah.
That'll be fun.
Oh man.
All right. Well, let's move on to the next segment, which is Indiana. Let's talk.
yeah.
Let's get a little bit
Couple
more
PRs.
detailed into the Indiana 100.
How many shoes did you lose, Katerina?
Shoes?
Yeah.
I didn't lose any shoes.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it was shoe sucking mud.
Oh yeah, I mean a few times when I stepped into that mud, I felt like my foot coming up and the shoe staying in, but
Yeah.
somehow
But it
I
stayed
held
intact.
on. I held on.
Now, how do you think that you PR'd at this thing? Have you just not been running very
well,
hard at
I
other
don't
races?
think my. Yeah, I mean it was an easier course.
It's flat.
No, it's not flat. I actually got a lot more elevation gain than I had expected. But I think
How much is it?
Through 75 miles, my watch already said like 5,900.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
So-
I had two readings. One of them, the first 50 was 4,000.
Mm-hmm.
The second 50 was 2,000. So I'm going to say it was about 5,000
Total,
altogether.
yeah. Well,
It was a flatter, quicker 100-mile course.
for me
If it weren't
too,
covered in
I
mud.
started doing 100 milers when I wasn't really prepared for them. I mean, I hadn't actually trained for a 100 miler and just jumped into one.
So this is one that you like
So
specifically trained for?
no, but I just think having a year and a half of experience running ultra distances, it was time for my time to start coming down. So I think that just kind of happened naturally. I didn't have to like put some sort of extra effort into it. And
You must come in like top 5 women or something.
No, I think I was 7th.
Okay.
I was 7th.
That's kind of
woman.
close to top 5.
Yeah, there weren't a whole. Well, one of the things about a lot of these 100-milers, there's just so many more men than women, and this was one of those cases where, it was just like all men practically.
And probably the man and woman that were favored both dropped out.
Yeah.
Shan.
I think a lot of people
and Michelle Yates.
people who were entering this race that were expecting, to get some really great time.
Side issue.
Some of the people who entered this race who were expecting to get some really great time might have dropped out because they realized after 40 or 50 miles that it wasn't going to happen.
I mean, it'd be like if you were at Boston and you determined that you were going to run a 3:30.
It's
I
like,
wouldn't
why
drop out.
bother?
Well,
You got to finish.
Well, that's good. But anyway, so,
it's only 26 miles.
risk-
yeah. Well,
if you're an elite
but for you, it's only another
athlete-
hour. For them, it's another 20 hours.
Right, for an elite athlete, and then like you maybe risk injury or something. But it was a really neat atmosphere. I ran by myself the whole time, pretty much.
You didn't have any pacers or nothing.
No pacers, no crew.
When you passed Scotty, did you talk to him?
We did. We spent about 5 miles together.
We ran.
I assumed
for a
that you-
while
yeah.
together.
She
It's
slowed
loops,
me
right?
down. She kept saying, "You got to slow down. You got to slow down. You got to slow down." And that was really good. That's what I needed to hear on the first loop.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So I ran real slow. I had a kind of a crazy mishap. My headlamp went out, and I had batteries. I put the batteries in, and the headlamp barely worked. It was like 2 a.m. And
Backup headlamp?
no,
This kind of stuff would drive Dave insane, right?
I had an iPhone, and so I turned the flashlight on the iPhone, and I had these big like mittens, and so I had to hold the iPhone flashlight for a couple hours. That was my light.
Wow.
was the
In
iPhone.
shoe sucking mud
Yeah.
and single track
Way to improvise. That's
on a trail.
pretty fucking badass.
Yeah, so that was kind of
To anyone that's ever bitched about something going wrong in a race, listen to this because the girl did not give up.
No, it didn't even cross my mind. It kind of made things more interesting, like, oh crap, I can't drop this phone or I'm really screwed. And a few times I turned it off to see, could I run this without a light? And I was like, oh, no. The answer is no.
Well, your eyes will probably adjust eventually.
No, it's like pitch black. You're in the forest.
Oh, okay.
So,
But there's like,
But that's the right attitude. Like, this is a neat experience. This
Yeah,
is
I
a
mean,
complication I'll have
That's
to deal
why you're
with.
so good at
Right.
these races, Kat, is that you manage frustration so well.
You don't seem to.
see, I don't. You know what? I think
would just
that's,
lose
but,
it.
Dave, that's a good point. I don't get frustrated by it. I think a lot of people who like some weird bad thing happens and they get riled. I'm just like,
Or even a little stupid thing happens and they get all riled. My headphones don't work. My iPod ran out. I brought the wrong shoes. Fuck it. I'm not gonna have a good race. It's not my day. I'm quitting.
Yeah, I mean that could be, and I don't know. I feel horrible and sick and nauseous. Oh, okay, just keep running along. I don't know.
You must have a good crew.
So we went in thinking this is going to be an easier. It's the easiest 100-mile race either of us have done, in terms of course.
Right.
And I went in thinking I was thinking like 25, 26, 27 hours. That was my reasonable expectation. I wasn't prepared to like redline it the whole time, but I thought just naturally it would be faster.
Yeah.
And we were like 12 hours through the first half, 11, 12.
Yeah, I was 11:30 through.
Yeah, and I was like 12, 10 maybe. So we were on that course, theoretically a little bit over 24 hours. And then,
This coming from the guy that mocks everybody for the on pace thing.
Yeah, nice.
well, I mean, we're projecting forward, I mean, I don't ever think about it as I am keeping the pace that's going to get me under 24 hours, but I think of it more in the context of if I run the first half at 24-hour pace and I run the second half at 30-hour pace, I'm going to come
well
in
under
like
it, yeah.
25, 26 hours, that's perfect. But then we had a downpour.
And the mud was, I mean, it was really hard to run in the mud. You were like, you'd step down and your whole body would slide
You
like
have yak
to the
tracks
right.
on?
No. I mean, you'd step down and you'd slide forward, and so you're using a lot of muscles that you don't normally use to stabilize your body. And it was okay during the daylight hours because you'd see the mud, you'd run through it or try to run around it. But then at night, I mean, Scott, could you run in that mud at night?
No. What I did is when night came, I got my trekking poles because I figured I would at least take away the I'm going to fall aspect while I'm through the mud. And I just started, clomping through the middle.
How many falls do you guys each have?
I fell twice. I had one fall that garnered attention on the trail from the other people.
Wow.
Because I fell
It was like a belly flop?
up and then flat on the back, and then head on the ground.
Like a whiplash.
And then I looked up, and there's like two guys standing there, and they said, "Are you okay?" And then the other one was I was with my pacer, and I did one of those where you're almost going to fall and you're sliding, and then I went completely sideways, full on, flat in the mud, caked mud up my arms, on my clothes. It was just like covered in mud. And then I didn't think about this, but then you can't grab food out of your pocket anymore because you have all this wet mud everywhere. It was terrible. What I really wish we would have had.
Was your pacer feeding you?
No, he did not feed me. He wasn't that kind of guy.
Piece of shit.
But what I really needed was like a water crossing where like I could rinse off this excess mud because it was just mud on top of mud on top of mud in the shoes and staying in the shoes and film, and it was
Everybody
just.
should check out
I
Sky's
saw
photo
this. There
online.
was a guy in the race who was wearing Luna sandals, and I mean, I just looked down at his feet, and the mud was just like squishing through his toes.
Sure.
And when you had to go uphill in the mud, you were just kind of sliding backwards, like you're almost doing the moonwalk sort of thing. And this poor guy in the Luna sandals, I mean, I wonder if he ended up finishing because that looked rough.
Although I did think being barefoot might be better, you know.
No, you don't got any grip.
We didn't have any grip. There was no, and I chose road shoes. I was wearing the least grip shoes I owned, and then I thought about changing them, and I was like, what's that really going to do?
I don't think it would do anything. Yeah.
So I just wore the same shoes and socks, and
That's when I went to pull out the golf spikes, maybe.
the spikes would have been nice. I thought about that, but I mean, I still don't think that they would have gripped anything because we're talking like a half a foot of mud.
Kettering, how many times did you fall?
0. I almost fell like 500.
Yeah.
I'm not a big
Almost fell 500 times.
Yes, but the answer was 0.
But it's like every step you take.
She's
is
running with her iPhone light.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can see everything you need to see.
Wait, what was I gonna say? I completely forgot.
By the way, she's got an iPhone 4.
No, I have an iPhone 5.
She
which
crashed
I-
it today.
We need
Broke
Apple to
today.
sponsor Katerina. She needs
Yeah,
a new. She needs
no
a new.
kidding.
Kat
She
needs a new
used it,
iPhone.
To light my way for my 100
and
milers.
she could use an iPhone 6 now.
Please,
I heard that's got a
Apple,
better
if
light
you're
on it.
listening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what?
I'd like to say that I think that I would have quit that race, and that you guys are really awesome for going through. Like, I don't think
I
that
think
I
I
could
would've
have
even
handled
started that
DNS.
song.
Yeah, I would have. I would have happily DNS that race. It's awesome.
I never thought about quitting, but when we reached the end of Loop 5, I called Kyla crying and told her, I'm not going to make it. They're going to pull me. But please, because I had said to her, I'll call you when I go on the last loop. And
What does
if
your
I-
wife say to you when you called her crying, saying that?
She was just like, okay, I'm coming. Like she's a pro. She knows.
And let's back up. So this race was 6 loops.
Six
so
loops.
You were 1 loop away from finishing.
She
I
needs
come-
to, next time she does that, she needs to say 1 second and then record you so I could hear that for myself.
Well, so I come in on the 5th loop.
That'd be a good
and,
podcast segment.
Huh?
That would be a good
Nothing.
podcast segment.
Like everybody's phone calls.
Sad voicemails.
Late in a
Hurts
100-mile race.
bad.
We should just do that. We should just like next time I'll leave a voicemail for you or for Corey. It's just like I'm not gonna. I think I said, "Would you just please come? Please come? Please come? They're gonna pull me, but just please.
Well, why didn't
I want to
she?
see you there." She got a flat tire. So the plan was she was gonna leave. She was gonna leave when I went out on the last loop.
Are you like, why don't you change the tire?
There's a receipt in the car for. I'll put it on the webpage. There's $125. If that's her plan, if that was a cover up, then it was an expensive one.
She just went out there with a knife.
Sorry, Scotty, you got to finish the race. The flat tire is flat.
That's what she should have said. So anyway, I came into my 5th loop, and my 5th loop took over 6 hours, which left me with less than 5.5 hours to do the last loop. And in my mind, I'm not going to get faster.
That's like me talking to you on the one race, explaining to you, well, if you go at the speed you just did.
No. If we could tape record that, everyone would say I would have dropped out of the race too. It's like a very long mathematical problem. So I said, I'm not going to make it, but I'm going to keep running. And my pacer came with me, and maybe there was 3 sections to this race. There's like a 4-mile push. Then you do another 4 miles, you get to the 8-mile, the halfway point. Then there's a 6-mile section and a 2.5-mile section. By the time we got to that halfway point on that loop, we started with, you're probably not going to make it. Then we got to, if you push it a little bit, you might make it. And then at the halfway point, he looked at me and goes, if you just keep doing this, you're going to make it. And then at the last aid station, it's over. You could just crawl and you're going to make it. And I finished with a half an hour to spare. So I learned a lesson that you don't give up. You know, that you never know how fast you're going to run or how much better you might get. I always like to talk about the myth that things get better. I always say that in an ultra. If you're feeling bad, don't worry, things get better. And I was saying, things almost never get better.
Maybe in a 50-mile race.
Yeah.
So just my dream of doing this 100-mile race now. I have some questions for you guys.
Sure.
About
Okay.
your particular race. Like in a marathon for me, I know like maybe a quarter in or halfway in that things are feeling well, and I can 2/3 of the way in, I know I'm going to finish and I'm going to feel really good. I can't imagine 26 hours of the mental breakdown and the highs and the low. I mean, for me in this last race, I was kind of high the whole time, but I can't imagine keeping that high up for 26 hours.
That's actually a really
Are
good
there just
point.
huge troughs?
Huge lows and highs. I mean,
Yeah.
you feel them. You're like, whoa. And when you recognize that you're on a high, that's when you have to push.
Right.
Because you don't know how long that's going to last. And then you plummet down into, the, oh my gosh, this is so horrible. Why did I sign up for this?
Right.
And then, you, by eating or
I was going
taking
to ask,
care of yourself.
is it like a physical thing where you just need to eat?
Well, what happens in 100, Aaron, is, I think for most people this happens, is in the last segment of the race, people's stomachs just turn off.
Yeah.
Things that you were enjoying
Unpredictable,
earlier.
weird shit.
Yeah, it's like nothing tastes good. I mean, I remember trying to eat a strawberry, and I was like, "This tastes like aluminum." I mean, you just things.
But you said aluminium, which is really weird for everybody.
I ate primarily jelly beans in the last 25 miles.
and I
No idea why.
All
Jelly
I had
beans.
was soup, like the last 25 miles, and I was only eating it because I knew I had to eat something. I had zero interest.
So like
in
50
eating
miles
any
in, you
food.
probably were really high and feeling really good
50
about
miles,
You felt
I
really
was
good about
fine.
yourself.
50 miles,
Yeah.
everybody felt good.
Yeah, I feel like 30 to 50 for me is like just smooth sailing
Do
usually.
you feel like you're? I mean, where do you feel like you're being strangled and this thing's never going to end? You're going to be out here forever.
Well, I think there's a dip at the 20
like-
mark always for me. I always
Yeah,
feel
me
like
too.
crap around 20, and you think, fuck, I got 80 to go, and I feel like this now. I'm doomed.
I did this 5 more times.
Yeah.
I usually get through that one.
Mm-hmm.
I get to 50 okay.
more times.
And in my mind, I always think 60 is the line that I got to get. I got to get to 60 in one piece to have a shot at finishing.
So it's kind of like the marathon.
But the problem is when you're at 60 in one piece, you got 40 miles to go. And it's almost as much time as you've already spent
I feel
over
like
again.
I feel like at mile
you know?
18, if I can get to mile 18, then I can do it. And
Yeah.
I know there's only 8 miles to go,
Yeah,
not 40.
Maybe the difference is because there's so much more intensity in the race
Yeah.
that you're talking about, Aaron. But I think the hardest thing for me is like the mental focus that you have to keep yourself alert and focused for so many
Yeah, that's one of the nice
I've seen
things about a
Scotty
100
mile
miler is
80.
you can kind of like just all right, I'm just gonna fucking walk for an hour and it's gonna be fine and you'll still finish, but you can't do that when you're running.
Right.
Or-
But I mean, I guess how do you fight off like the darkness coming in of I'm out here alone
Well,
and
it's like
cold
what Kat
and
said.
there's
You
nothing
gotta
around.
live. You got to live through it, and you
it's
got to
just
see it.
There's just going to be a tragedy.
Yeah, and then you look back and you say, "Well, I'm going to take that as my next race." You know that.
And what you're describing, I enjoy. I am a loner.
You're
runner.
weird. Yeah.
I like to be alone in the dark woods by myself.
probably
I
'cause
have
you-
no problem with that. I didn't listen to music. I didn't listen to headphones for 26 hours.
How many kids do you have?
2.
Okay. They're around all day long.
It's like
Yeah, that's
vacation for her.
Actually, you have a point there.
Yeah. You're like, it's so quiet and peaceful.
Yeah, maybe, you know what?
That's probably
I think
also
you're
why
onto
you're really
something.
good at dealing with just terrible things happening. Because you're like, well, what's your daughter's name?
Zoe.
It's always got a marble up her nose, but we got dinner to eat first.
Nobody picks on Zoe.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about a couple other questions that came up this weekend in a segment that won't have a title. One is that should ultra marathons have different standards for finishing for men and women? We were talking about this in the car, how like there's a different qualification time for the marathon for men and women. There's different Olympic qualifying standards. Why is it that at the 100-mile race this weekend, it's 30 hours for everybody? If
Cutoff for the 100-miler in Indiana is 30 hours, whether you're a man or a woman. But to get into Boston, totally different times are allowed. And I was wondering if that is maybe something that causes this big difference in how many women versus men run these races.
Oh, probably, absolutely.
Absolutely what?
Although,
Yeah, of course. If they
aren't we talking about two different things though? Like one's to qualify to get into a race, and the other one is the time limit for the race, right?
Yeah,
So I mean, Boston still has a 6.5 an hour time limit
for everybody.
to complete the race, right? Regardless of gender.
Yeah, but I think my point is that if you kind of know your limitations, you wouldn't even enter some of these ultras because you know that
Not
it's
gonna
going to be almost
finish.
impossible for you to get that time. Like, for example, a lot of people run the Potawatomi 100 because it has such a generous cutoff. And so if you know, oh, well,
Are there more women that run that?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so too. I think a lot of women who don't enter these other races, or like this year at Kettle, they added 2 hours to the cutoff time, and now a lot more people are getting involved. And
And in reality, that 2 hours is not going to make any difference because
You
the
don't think
people.
so?
I think the people.
Oh,
that,
I think so.
I don't
you could-
think
I think
so.
you could walk it in from mile 40.
I see what your
with
point
2
is,
more hours
but I'd also
at Kettle.
I think I'm with Dave that it's
If you have
the
the
cutoff
will.
time's the cutoff time for any
it
race.
shouldn't. It
So-
shouldn't be
some of
different
that
for
seems
men
to
and
have to.
women?
I mean, I think qualification. Yeah, the same thing Dave said. Qualification and cutoff time are different things. Like cutoff time is like, okay, we have to be on this course, and we're going to break down the timing mats at some point. So whatever, if you finish in that time, you finish in that time. But it's not like if you're going to win or qualify, your winning time is still going to be.
I mean, the question you're asking is: are there women that would like to run races that are 100 miles, but they're not even going to attempt it because they know that they won't be allowed to finish?
Or here's the other question: if
That's a hard
if
thing to
Indiana
answer.
had the and a girl did finish
30 hours and like 1 minute.
1 minute past the cutoff,
How did they handle that at this race?
She
she cried her
cried.
eyes out. She got nothing.
I mean,
Nothing?
Scotty, are there ever women that finish after you?
yeah, there have been.
But not very often.
Well, this woman did,
That's
and
sort of-
sure,
I mean, there were
Sawtooth.
100.
There were a
There
few.
were 100 and some people who didn't finish this race.
I mean, we should count them
Yeah.
to some
Yeah,
extent,
I
right?
mean,
Sure.
How many were
like,
women and how many
would
were
it-
men?
There were 200 and some people entered and only 90 finished.
I
or
mean,
something
I guess
like
that's the problem with just looking at who finished before and after someone is, well, I mean.
I mean, her
Yeah.
question is: are there people that
Okay,
don't want
you
to
know
sign up because they're women and they know they won't?
but
be
no.
allowed to
Here
finish?
was the question I was asking before we got off of your question, off of her question.
Whose question are we answering now?
How about this
Scott's
one?
asking you a new question.
If the cutoff at Indiana was 30 for men and 33 for women,
Yeah.
we know that woman that we just talked about would have finished.
Yep.
Maybe some of the other women that dropped out would have continued. Would there have been a higher finisher rate for women?
Who cares?
Probably. Sure.
Yeah.
Just because there's just longer time.
And does that make it better?
No.
Yeah, I don't think
But
so either.
I mean, like this finishing time thing, like with the qualification for races, you're talking about a difference like in men and women biologically, like in aerobic capacity, right?
Just
That's the
V-
reason there's different
it's VO2
times.
max, yeah.
Right. Whereas like a 100-mile race, you're operating at like 10% of what your aerobic capacity is, whether you're male or female. Or maybe like if I'm operating at 10%, like a woman would be at like 15%, which is still so
I get what
it's
you're
negligible.
saying. But even then, like you look at the fastest and the fastest woman for 100 miles.
That's-
Well,
No,
we're-
Dave,
they're not
actually-
being cut off though. The
Right,
fastest
right.
women,
Yeah.
you know. So
But I'm
I
just-
mean, I
and
guess
don't forget there are races that women win outright.
right. And I think
200
100 miles is a great equalizer between
so,
the
too.
genders. It's whoever's toughest
women
is
have
who
pain.
finishes
Women
it.
have a higher pain threshold.
That's
Right.
your answer was really good for me, Dave. I think that was an interesting answer. I guess then I go back to why don't more women participate in these races?
'Cause they have kids.
That's the men don't have kids.
Well,
Cat has kids.
it's just
I have
historically.
kids.
Yeah, I think it's
historically though, women are. It's also why they
Here
don't.
comes, here comes another sexist.
I'm just gonna say
Historically,
it's the time commitment
Yeah.
to running
okay.
trails that most women are the primary caregivers,
Yeah.
like he was saying.
Even
and-
marathons, you look at marathon, the fast women in marathons are like age 20 to 25 and then 40 to 50. It's weird.
Oh, because
That makes
in
sense.
between.
Yeah, they're having kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, maybe there's some women out there that wish they could run a 100-mile race and don't want to, and they'll comment on the Facebook page and say what it is that's holding
They're probably
them
out
back.
walking for breast
I mean,
cancer.
honestly, some of it might be the trails too. You know,
Dave?
I think a lot fewer women run trails. Period, and that's probably a lot to do with like safety and.
Stabbers.
Yeah.
There's
I didn't
not
even
many
reali-
women that feel
Creepers and
confident to like
rapists.
go and.
To be fair, I didn't
run in the
realize
woods by
women were
themselves.
concerned about running early on the lakefront path. Like that's the thing that never even cleared my pass through my mind.
Yeah, it wouldn't pass through my mind either. I'm weird.
All right, question number 2.
Yeah, me neither.
Question number 2. This came from the Facebook page. You run the 100-mile race, you fail, but they offer you the 50-mile medal. Do you take the medal? Is it right? Is it wrong? What are your thoughts on that?
I think some of that depends on how the race is set up. Some races are set up so that you can drop down to a 50-miler.
Okay.
And other races are set up where
But we're not
Either
talking
way, I
about the
would not-
situation
I
where you
wouldn't care.
drop down.
Like,
We're
if-
talking about you get to mile 70 and you quit, and the guy says, "Here's your 50-mile medal."
I wouldn't care about that because I was there to run 100 miles, not run 50.
So you don't take the medal.
I don't have a 100-kilometer kettle, whatever they give you, because I was not there to do 100 kilometers.
I don't think
I'm
they
not
should
interested
even
in that.
offer that because I think then that gets into people's heads during the race and it might be an incentive to quit.
I've done that. I did that at Devil's Lake.
Dave's like wearing the buckle.
Yeah, it's
It's
right.
it's right underneath my Boston
No,
Marathon coat.
I have done that, and that's exactly what happened. As I was halfway through a
fuck it,
50-mile
I'll get a
race, and
medal.
there's a guy at the aid station with a clipboard that says you're in the 50-mile race.
This is Dances with Dirt.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
you're coming down that long straightaway, and then the finish line's coming up,
Right.
and then you have the choice of either going back up and down the ski hill, or going and having a beer with your
Right.
friends.
So the guy's standing there as you enter the aid station with a clipboard, and I was like overheating and just having a terrible day, and he's like, "You're in the 50-mile race. Do you want to go that way and do 25 more, or do you want to go this way and you're done in 6 and it's all downhill?"
What year was this?
2013.
I was in that race.
Yeah.
It was
So
hot.
You
And-
you chose to go the.
I mean,
You
I admit
son of a
I did
bitch.
stand there for like 10 minutes and think about it.
That's a long time to stand around. You gotta make a decision quick.
I mean, one thing that kind of affected me though is I didn't realize that the race was like 2 identical loops. You know, when I signed up for it,
Quasi-identical.
or even when I
It
showed
wasn't
up.
identical. It was close.
Well,
but
you know what I mean. You're
You had to
seeing
go
the same
back
thing
up that
twice.
shit again. Yeah.
but
Right.
you didn't feel any guilt or nothing. You're like, fuck it.
Well,
let's go down
no,
this 50 miles.
I count it as a DNF. You know, in my mental catalog of,
Yeah.
of races, I do say it's a DNF. And
Did you take the award?
Oh yeah, but it's
He's wearing it tonight.
it's in the basement or something.
Now,
But
did you get a tattoo for that?
yeah, I've got the elevation profile on my leg.
You know what, Dave? It's funny that you tell that story because our friend Tony, he's
It's Tony Cesario who
he's
said we can't use his name.
Tony Cesario.
Tony Cesario who said we should never call him either.
Tony stopped in the same way that you did.
No. Tony allegedly got lost.
But yeah,
Allegedly.
Yeah,
yeah. So they make it kind of easy in that race. So I think that's a bad thing.
That was the race.
Well,
No.
That's a good
his
thing, though.
mental
It's like a-
catalog,
yeah,
he
it-
DNF.
but here's the thing that really hammered it home, right? Was when in that race you were wearing different color bibs according to the race that you were in. So I made the decision out on the spot. I was like, all right, I'm going to go the shorter way, but you have to run the entire thing on the way back. There's no walking. I don't care what happens.
That's been mentally cataloged as
So
well.
I knew I wasn't done because like I hammered that last 6 miles. I really did.
You're like, listen, I'm gonna DNF. Let's.
And but then when you come around the corner, like right before the finish line, everybody's cheering because they see that I'm wearing the 50-mile bib and they think I'm about to win this race.
Oh my god.
And they're like, "Oh, it's the first male."
He's so
and I'm like,
fast.
"No." Like I'm quitting.
No, in fact, I fucking gave up, but I'm running fast.
Actually, I'm like 300th place.
that day, I did the 50 mile. So I went back up and did the second part of the race. And then at the end of the race, in that exact same race, at mile like 47, there's an aid station. And that was when you could qualify for Western States with a 50. And I was going for 11 hours so I could qualify for, and that's a really hard 50, you know?
Right.
So I'm coming down the thing and I see the guy with the clipboard. It's not that guy, but it's similar. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm like a half an hour ahead of schedule. This is awesome. And then the guy said, oh no, this is mile 47. You gotta go back up the ski hill and down the ski, and it's like
That's the one big climb.
85 degrees.
It's only got 3
outside.
miles in 30 minutes. You can do that? Bang it out.
So
You'll be amazed at how hard that can be.
yeah, says the guy who's run 31 miles one time on a flat surface. So I ran up that ski hill, and about halfway up the ski hill, I hit the biggest bottom of my life. I got upside down, empty water bottles. I was seeing things. I'm like, and then prancing by me like Bambi, straight out of the cartoon, is the legend Julie A. Stairs.
I don't know if anybody knows Bambi out of the cartoon anymore.
Sure.
It's a very old reference.
Julie's done like 60 hundreds, and she's done everything. She's a legend of the sport. And she came prancing by me and said, "Hey, Scott," and passed me. And that's when
Fucking
the
nemesis.
rivalry was born, right then and there.
Mile
I said,
48
I am never
of
going to let that goddamn
Dances
woman.
with Dirt.
Yes. And we've had a rivalry ever since.
Can we get back to Dave's mental catalog of all of his different races and things? Do you do that with other things in your life? Like,
I wouldn't say that.
I know I'm
but
eating this cake tonight.
All right, so wait, now Dave took the medal, but he counts it as a DNF.
That's right.
Corey says, "Fuck you, keep your medal."
I mean, it just didn't even come up. I would have, if they handed me something, I would have taken it, but I would have put it in the basement.
Katarina's never DNF'd. Aaron, would you take the medal? No, yes.
I don't know how to even.
If we go to
So let's say that you stopped
finished every
Boston
race.
halfway, and they were like, "You want a half
No.
marathon?"
Actually, Scotty got
Award.
Scotty finished halfway the Chicago Marathon the year that the water ran out. Did you take that medal?
but I gave it to you.
I don't know if I still have that.
Yeah. Well,
I threw it in the
the only example that I can think of. No, I have two examples. Farmdale, I broke my toe.
Oh yeah, you took the.
They gave me the
30
30-mile rock.
It's a rock though.
And then Potawatomi, I signed up for the 150,
I guess take your rock and shove it.
and I dropped at mile 100. So if you drop at mile 100, they don't count it as an official 100-mile finish, but they give you a 100-mile buckle to, congratulate you, on the effort
where do you
of
guys
running
store
100
all these
miles.
things, all these rocks and metals?
Oh, we all have like a douchey
I don't have
trophy.
Do you have like a separate thing for the ones that you fucking douched out on?
No. It's just it's a
They're
whole
all in
thing.
the
Yeah,
same.
you
She
should
has
make
like
like
a-
a douche case.
Like a tainted.
have.
Yeah. Like, this is all the ones that I quit halfway through, but they still gave me a medal.
Yeah.
These are
Just,
cataloged here.
like take a Sharpie and put an asterisk on all of them.
There you go. Or engrave it on the back.
Perfect.
DNF.
Yeah. That's why I say you
For
gotta do it
you,
with the shirt.
on that one, you could do a whole thing. I quit, but the last 6 miles I tried really hard.
That's right. I'm proud of that 6 miles.
Yeah.
That was
So-
the best trail running I've ever
It
done.
still doesn't make you proud of that medal.
Super
though.
fast 10K at
Nope.
the end.
No. You have to go back and do it now.
I don't want to do that.
You have
race
to make
again.
up for
But I feel like the
No.
reason why I keep pounding you on this is because I feel like I do that with myself every day, just on training runs.
Negotiating with
Yeah, you're like, I'm going to try
Yeah.
really hard on this, and then because I did that, I now know I can take that, and then But this one I'm kind of punking out on, but that's fine because didn't matter. But you just keep
It's
negotiating.
fascinating how
think
your
when you
mind
have-
can broker those deals.
Yeah.
I mean, because you're constantly trying to be honest with yourself, but at the same
No.
time,
You are trying to lie to yourself.
But you're also trying to lie.
Dave lied to himself and made
Yeah.
him feel like if I push it on this last 10K, I'm not a pussy for dropping
Did you
out of
No,
this
I
race.
think that 10K of running on the trail was more of like self punishment.
Yeah.
It's like, well, if you're gonna quit, like you really have to run hard to the end.
Isn't it funny how you do all this in your head? Nobody knows anything.
No.
Until you go on 10 junk miles, then everybody knows.
I mean, were you thinking, if my wife sees me fucking quit and not haul ass down this, she's going to be very disappointed.
It's a good thing she wasn't there. Actually, I stopped on the way home at my
Did you negotiate?
in-laws' house,
thought you
and they're
negotiated.
like, "Why are you done already? Did you win it?" I'm like,
That's my favorite.
absolutely not.
My favorite is coming back from a long run and my aunt being like, "How far did you go? You were gone a long time." I'm like, "Do you know how fast I'm running out there?" Like, she's like, she doesn't like they don't understand.
Right.
Okay.
Well, that takes us to the last segment. And,
Already?
Yeah, already. Isn't that
We're not
shocking?
gonna draw some shit out of a hat or something.
Well, we don't have time.
I wanted to do that.
All right, give me the hat. It's up there.
Let's do one.
We're doing one
That's
out
my
of the hat.
favorite
It's going to
part.
be what kind of winter gear do you like to wear or something stupid.
We gotta use the Strava hat.
Why aren't you using Elevation Trail?
The Strava's
You guys should all get sponsored by Strava. Does Strava pay people?
We have a Strava group
Yeah, join
for
us.
10 junk miles. Dave's in it. Kat's in it. I'm in it. Aaron's not in it.
I don't use.
Yeah, well,
data.
like I want to look at some of the runs that some of the people.
Wouldn't it
did
be
on
fun
there
if we
and
could watch
specifically-
Aaron's runs?
Yeah,
that'd be-
join
I mean, wouldn't that
Aaron.
be interesting
That would-
to
it would
monitor,
be.
especially for, and you know what else? People could communicate with Aaron then on Strava. Like
You get
making
training
comments,
tips.
Come on, Aaron.
liking his run, give him kudos. You know what? That's a good out of the hat. I wish I had that in here. When do you give the kudos on Strava? What's the
I feel
line?
like there should be a monthly limit. on kudos because I mean you can
5
put a
kudos.
quarter-mile run on there, and next thing you know, you have 30 kudos.
Me and Tony Cesare had a long talk about this
Everybody's
on
your
a run.
mom telling you how awesome you are.
It's very
Well,
insincere.
It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, if you just like every single one, it doesn't mean anything. So my standard is this: it's got to be 6 miles or more, not on a treadmill or
very arbitrary.
manual.
Not on a treadmill.
It has to be outdoor GPS run, and for biking, it's got to be 25 miles or more.
What? Biking?
Yeah,
I think you could include
I would
biking.
not even
How about elliptical
Kudos to
machines?
biking.
no kudos, no kudos for yoga, powerlifting, planks, any of that.
You know what the
Understand how
ultimate-
you put powerlifting on Strava.
I don't
how
understand
can you
either.
measure a power lift?
You can't. They just
I
put
don't-
You
30
just
minutes
put 1
powerlifting.
hour, yeah.
Why?
But you know what's the ultimate kudos in Strava is to actually make a comment.
Yes.
Dave,
That
you
is the
did.
ultimate.
But you know what's cool? Dave's actually one of those people. You make comments every so often.
Can you do
It's
Strava?
very
Can
mean.
you do
If,
Strava
if
for,
you
like, sexual
impress
activity?
me on Strava, you get a comment.
That's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
It is nice, and I do that too. Like if I see someone like that Flo that did the he had that video about running his solo 100. He had a run where he did like a 50-miler super fast, and I like to make a comment on those things, and I think it really does stand out to people, and it's a way of saying I don't just give everybody a fucking kudos.
But
I'm actually
someti-
paying attention.
Sometimes you make comments that are like sarcastic.
Like I taunt Kat that she
No,
was going too slow.
Scotty does that?
Or
One time
Nice run. Why'd you even go out today?
yeah, kind of like that.
looks like you started out. The mistake was putting on your shoes this morning.
Were you pushing a kid in the stroller or something?
What did you walk a mile?
Did you have a dog with you?
I said
Okay,
that.
pull out of the
Okay,
hat.
one out of the
What's your
hat.
question?
One out of the hat.
Don't.
There we go.
This is like getting a fortune cookie.
I love it.
Treadmills versus running outside.
No, we already did that. Didn't we?
Okay.
Yeah, fuck that one.
We did that? That's like a whole segment of ranting.
That
I
might be
think.
a whole segment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even run on treadmills.
That's not even worth talking about.
What should I know first time pacing and crewing?
We did that.
We did that one
last
too.
time.
Next
What
one.
the
This guy just keeps
heck?
putting the same
You gotta
questions
throw
in
them
there.
out.
Would you make
Read
like
it
3?
first?
Yeah, read it
yourself.
to yourself.
Debunk, beware of the chair.
Whoa, I don't know
Oh,
what that means.
Debunk it? I mean, that
Actually, no.
presupposes
that's
that
a
you would
good-
debunk it.
That's a good question. So they're saying like, can you sit down during your race? Or
I
is
always
that-
set a timer. Like
For
10,
how long?
10 minutes. Never more than 10 minutes.
You never negotiate with yourself?
Not in that. The chair
10
is.
minutes?
Yeah.
Well, I thought, oh yeah, you can sit down, no big deal. But for some reason at Indiana, every time I sat down in a chair, when I got up, my knee just like killed. So for me, that was like, oh, I cannot sit down because
Your knee will kill.
It
Yeah.
hurts more to get up than it does to
I certainly
feels good.
reached a point in Indiana where I didn't want to sit down anymore because it was so much painful to get up and run again. And then also, I couldn't stop at the aid stations because I didn't have any time, so I was just blasting by them. But I think if like
You
for-
stopped before those guys.
But
You
theoretically, is
theoretically,
it okay to sit in a chair?
yeah, like at Sawtooth, Kyla, she puts a chair and she puts all the stuff, and then I go and I sit down, and she gives me what I need, and then I get up. But
When
she's
you're like on the trails, do you like if you're changing your shoes? Is it okay if your shoes like your feet touch the ground, or do you like have somebody put a towel down for you?
feet touch the
Have
ground.
someone put a towel
Wow.
down for you? My lord.
Does your wife like clean your feet
Corey
off? for
does
you?
these races in style.
I don't.
Like-
I don't do that. I've just
You
heard
got, like, a
stories
towel
of
guy?
people
It's
doing
Like,
that.
that's
Yeah,
why.
like a
That's why
guy.
you're not going to these races. There's no one to put a towel down for you.
He's got 4 guys holding.
There's
the
no
chair.
red carpet
This is. I don't mind my feet touching the ground. This is not something I've ever done. It's just something that I.
because you're
heard.
afraid of
It's
like
some-
picking up some debris or something on your sock.
Dave, you sit in the chair.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. Like you,
It's a massage chair only, though,
When
right?
you get up, you're a little bit crunchy, but it goes away in a few minutes, and then you're back to struggling like you were before.
It sounds like all of us say, "Beware the chair is stupid."
Yeah, it's okay. You can sit down.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well,
you
you
know
could-
what I've never understood is how people take naps in 100-mile races.
Scotty, you've done that.
I have, yeah.
I don't know how you
I've done a
get back
power
up
nap.
from that.
Yeah, that's
like-
what I do. Power nap.
Power nap I've done like 9 minutes,
Oh.
back in action.
There's-
but that was
there's-
only because like we were talking about the best sleep night. I had a bad best sleep night, and then I just didn't have I couldn't stay awake that night. Usually I have no problem staying awake. I'm a night owl, and
Like
That's
Indiana, I didn't have one moment where I was tired and wanted to go to sleep or any of that. But in like in Potawatomi, when I started getting tired and drowsy and going too slow. What I'll do is I'll turn my iPhone. I'll go like 15 minutes. And I have found that if I fall asleep, the act of falling asleep and then the startling of waking up, I feel rested. No matter how long it is, even if it's just a minute, the fact that my body shut down and turned back on again makes me feel
It's like a 15-minute
better.
nap. Do you feel like you've slept for 28 seconds?
Yeah, I feel better though. I wake up and I feel like I
I feel like if I did that, I'd be like, fuck it. This
Yeah,
is so,
I've never
this hard,
done
cold
that.
ground is so luxurious.
I slept for 9 minutes on gravel, and I woke up. I mean, my left leg. I just remember my leg hurt so bad, and I was falling. I mean, I laid down on the trail. People were like, "Hey, man, I don't think that's a good place to sleep." Like it was a bad scene. So like a little while
good,
after
though.
that, I slept for 9 minutes on gravel. It was like covered in goo and bees, and I woke up and it was just ready. Like my leg felt fine. I felt totally energized, and it was mile 80 or something. And then I was just like,
Where was
running.
your towel guy running like laying a towel down?
I don't have a towel guy. That was somebody else.
Listen.
So maybe what
We're all honest on here. You don't have to pretend like you're talking about somebody else when you talk about yourself. That's fine.
So maybe what we're saying is that, if you have to do it in order to stay in the race, do it.
But I think that's different than sleeping in a hotel during a race.
or sleeping like 2 hours.
Who
or
does
something.
that?
It happens at a lot of races.
people
that
get a
we
hotel
have
room?
time off. Yeah. Well, the funniest story that I've ever heard about people sleeping on a trail is from my rival Julie Astairs as well.
You have a lot of like older lady rivals.
She's in my head.
Okay. So on one hand, Kat's talking about how women aren't allowed to come, finish under, and then another time, your rivals are only older women.
They should give the males a longer cutoff time.
Yeah.
So
Or let you start a little bit earlier.
Wait a minute. Julie might be offended that I'm calling her older. Is she a little more mature than Skyler?
she's probably going to be mad at you.
Okay, perfect.
She's a little bit younger than me.
Oh, is she? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then
But
you need to correct
thanks.
me on that.
No, that's fine. It's edit pre-podcast. So Alfredo tells this story at Kettle Moraine, where he's going down the trail. He's like in the last 30 miles, and he sees this woman laying on the ground, like right off the trail, and he says, "Are you okay?" And the woman looks up to him, and she says, "Which way is it to Rice Lake?" And he points to the way, and she makes a finger, and she points down the trail at the Rice Lake and goes back to sleep. And she says, "I just wanted to know which way to go when I wake up."
Yeah, I got that.
So,
I hear
and
that.
Alfredo said he ran for like 20 more miles, and he just kept thinking about that woman, and he was so worried about her. And then at like mile 90, she came rocketing past him, and she beat him in the race. And
She found it.
that was a funny story. All right. Well, what's up between now and the next episode?
Scott.
What are you doing? I am going to try and do some training. Hopefully my feet will get better, because right now they are fucked with a capital F. And get back on my no carb, no sugar, which has been going really well. I lost 7 pounds
Oh,
Nice
wow.
job.
Very nice.
in 10 days, which is pretty good.
That's like almost too much.
It did not work in the race.
Hashtag science.
We had a whole discussion about what loop I would give up on the no carb, no sugar, and
Scott was like,
Two.
I'm
Loop two.
so sick of eating nuts.
everything was made out of
Like
nuts.
2 miles in.
Yeah. So then I went all jelly beans and Pepsi. I don't know. It got me through. But I'm going to go back to it because it felt really good, and I really want to lean down for Angeles Crest. And
When's that?
August.
Okay. And that's your next race?
No, my next race is Ice Age. I'll be racing Dave and
in a week
losing
and a
by
half?
about 3 hours. Yeah, week and a half. I'm gonna try and I want to have a good time. I want to go for like 10 hours.
Nice.
Cat sweeping, so I want to beat Cat.
Are there
is
openings for
sleeping.
that? I might join you.
Oh,
I don't know.
please do join me.
17 to 50. That's perfect.
Yeah. You want to come pace me?
No.
Okay.
17 to 50. You're doing the whole thing.
No, I'm really only officially pacing one section from Rice Lake, for like 11
Sweeping, you mean?
miles. Yeah, sweeping.
Sweeping?
And then
What does that mean,
after-
sweeping?
So I'm the person.
You gotta tell
in the
people like,
back.
hurry the fuck up or get out of here.
No,
She's
but
the
also
sag
that
wagon.
you pick up
You're
up
the sag-
trash and you pick up like the flags
Course
on
markings.
the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then after that, then I'm gonna
Feet
sweep that-
towels.
There's a half marathon. Feet towels.
Julie A stairs, just in case she's still
But
sleeping.
but you can join me, Corey, because I'm gonna run to where I start my sweeping and then do the sweeping and then.
Interesting.
Anyway,
Yeah, I might
join
do
me if
that.
you'd like.
Dave, what's next for you?
Ice Age 50 and then the Black Hills 100 in June.
Woohoo!
Ooh.
Aaron, what are you
Wait a
working
minute.
on?
Are you shooting for like a time or something for the race, or
For the Ice Age
Yeah,
50?
yeah. you gonna win the thing?
Yeah, well, I might win against my previous PR, but
I think,
my-
our, I think
my
our friend
long-
Zach
what's
Bitter's
your PR?
running, so you're probably not gonna
at
win.
Ice Age is 8:56 I did last year. I'd like to try to break 8 hours this year,
That's
though.
50 mile. That's 50-mile race, right?
Right.
Wow.
That's a hilly 50-miler too.
I mean, that's like
Yeah.
what is that? That's like
Well, in 8 hours is
that'd be like 9-minute miles.
9:36 is 8 hours. That's the long goal. I don't know how feasible it is though.
It's super hilly too. Huh?
No, it's Midwest
4,000
hilly.
feet.
For Midwest, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Hopefully the weather's good for you guys.
Corey, you're going to work on your training?
I'm gonna do a little training. I'm going to San Francisco on Friday for work, so I'm gonna run there a little bit, and then I'm gonna visit my friend Doug in Portland and do some running there too.
You're going to take some pictures under that waterfall at the gorge?
Great.
I am,
places.
yeah.
And then we're also going to do karaoke. We got karaoke on Saturday night.
Saturday
Fear
night karaoke.
of missing out.
There will be some video of
I'll
Aaron.
stay here and do that.
Maybe some video. I already have my song picked out.
I don't have mine.
I'm ready to rock.
What's
your
your song? We're not gonna.
No, it's got to be a surprise.
I think it's got to be a surprise.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll say it off the air.
It's like episode 2.
Post questions on the website, guys. If anybody has any questions or
Personal,
grab bag
you know.
questions, some people have expressed romantic feelings about Aaron. I mean, whatever it is that you want, you know. He's got an admirer. They're upset that he's not on the Facebook.
I got fans out
We
there.
might have to make like a Aaron German fan page or something.
I get on Strava for my elliptical machine workouts.
You need to get on the Strava. We need a
spin.
campaign.
Sexual activity is not a part of Strava.
No,
it's like
you
on
can't.
the
You
on
could.
the,
You could post
I mean, I think
it.
it could be.
Yeah.
on the what do you call it?
Do you have a
on
little
the-
Fitbit thing?
No,
like it would
but, like,
increase your heart
when
rate.
Scotty and I get in-
You know, it does send you an
Probably
email
right.
if you haven't posted in a while.
When we got on the exactly. Well, Scotty and I got on the Lose It.
Meaning the
you
sexual
could-
activity.
You could
Right.
put your like
Right.
workouts in, and we were like,
It's gonna be hard to explain with the girlfriend out of town though.
yeah, it's like solo.
Aaron's got like sexual activity like 3 times a day. What's going on?
But usually in the morning. And when we were on the Lose It, and we were like, we can actually look at each other's profiles. You can see how much they're eating and how much they're working out.
How much
and-
sex they're having.
And then we saw the second. He's like, "How's my wife gonna feel if I put this on here?" Anyway, so that's not on Strava.
So, Aaron, what's your next race?
You guys are. It's embarrassing.
Some esoteric half marathon.
Probably this. This Soldier Field 10.
That's cool. That's a fun race.
What's your goal
I've done that
there?
before.
The way he
I've
said
done it.
though.
It's like embarrassing with you guys.
No,
We're doing 100.
Not at all.
I'm gonna do the very commercial Fleet Feet. 25,000 people run that thing.
I've done that
Yeah,
race
but
many
yeah, I
times.
like
I
it.
love
no
that
way in
race.
hell that I could ever run anywhere close to as fast as you do. So yours is impressive.
We
What
also
nobody's
gotta-
telling you is that these ultras, you're going so slow that it's not like that aerobically challenging, you know.
I know.
So,
It,
like, there's
it
nothing
hurts
more.
your body.
Like a 10-mile race is brutal if you're just
Yes.
redlining the whole time.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what, like an hour of misery.
Just an hour of.
Speaking of
or
which,
high.
we're also going to
Be
do
high.
that 5K for ALS this summer too.
Ooh, when is
so,
that?
I don't know. I'll send you the details.
That might be my
but-
one
yeah.
5K this year.
Yeah, I really want to do it.
Mid
Yeah, I
July
haven't
because I'm
done
out
a
of town.
5K.
Mid-July.
We should all wear
is
cotton.
Oh yeah, it's
July
July
16th.
14th or something like
Just all wear
that.
cotton t-shirts.
Shorty shorts, flat
Oh, yeah.
flat shoes, cotton tee.
Where is this? being
Knee-high
held?
socks.
By Soldier Field. It's
Rocket
for
socks.
ALS, and we have an ALS friend, and we got to get it done.
Yeah.
We also we got the Strava group,
We should do a breast cancer one too.
grab bag. I think you're banned from all breast cancer activities.
Hit the boobs.
Even if your comment's bad, put it on iTunes because the more people that comment and rate the show, the higher up it gets, which means more people notice it. And by higher up, I don't mean we get anything because we're all not making money.
We're trying to
off
get
this.
we're trying to get Kat a new iPhone though.
We want more people to see it
I need
so
an
that we can get more.
No, you
reviews.
don't need one new iPhone.
I broke 2 iPhones in the last 2
You
days.
should see how bad mine is.
at that.
Totally.
Sorry, Scotty. Go ahead.
Like us on Facebook. We have a Facebook page. Tell a friend. Try and run with the podcast on, and let us know what else you want to hear. We're doing this so that you can get something out of it. Hopefully, like that review, or you're out there on the trail and you're getting something out of it. So
we should get like a hashtag for like a Twitter. Is that
we have a Twitter.
Is that a thing?
at 10 Junk Miles.
We should get a
Thanks for
Twitter
putting that out.
thing for
We
questions.
have a fucking Pinterest. We
We
got
have
it
a
all.
Pinterest.
Okay, I don't
we
know
have
what
a
that is.
LinkedIn.
we need
have
to
everything.
expand our social presence online. Is that a thing?
Our social media presence
Pinterest.
is
So
pretty
like,
good.
what crafts?
Yes.
could we
10 Junk Miles crafts.
No, get the
I'll-
LinkedIn
Somebody
account.
is gonna
that way you
send-
can get an intern to like sort this all out.
Somebody's gonna send in like a
Some audio
handmade
professional.
foot towel.
Hey,
for Corey.
if somebody wants to be the 10 Junk Miles intern, come on down, man. We're
Absolutely.
up for some ideas.
Scotty and I will do the interviews.
All
Whilst
right.
Corey's setting up the shit in here.
Anything
Okay.
else?
I think that's it.
That's
Thank
it? Nothing else? Thanks for coming, Dave.
Thank you
Yawning.
for having me.
Till next time. 10 Junk Miles.